Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Hello, everybody.
Hi. Hello. Hi, Mark.
we are
Can you stop?
We are on Lorebeards 40K today, and we're going to talk about the King Attacks Avoidance and the Grim Darkness of the Far Future. Huron Blackheart.
Man, make me pay taxes. I'll rebel.
It's a little more complicated than that, but that is essentially kind of the core of the issue. So in case you don't know who we are, my name is Ross Watson. I am a game designer and author. I've written a lot of stuff for Warhammer 40K roleplay and several video games, including Battlefield Gothic Armada. This is my co-host.
Hello, everyone. I am Norn Queen Alexis. How are you guys doing? I am a avid gamer and a collector of all sorts of things that are too expensive. And tomorrow I have a tournament, and I'm bringing Ultramarines to try to get in top 5. We have over 25 people at this tournament, and I'm pumped.
Good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. But if you guys don't know, I'm a cosplayer. I read too much. I play way too many 40K games and AOS games. I have 2 dinosaurs sitting right here. I am excited, and I know you are too, because this is one of your favorite characters.
It is absolutely. If you were to ask me like who my favorite Chaos faction character is, I mean Doom Rider, obviously. But after Doom Rider, it's Huron Blackheart.
Huron is just so cool. Can you stop scratching at the door?
He's really cool, and his history and the things he's managed to accomplish are like considerably. He has made significant achievements, which put him in a position. I would argue he's second only to Abaddon in the Chaos Warband groups.
I would agree to that, like very much so.
He's got
the door's open. You can go in there now.
Kovu is Alexis's cat.
He is going crazy.
Okay.
Blackheart, I am quite fond of lizard women.
Thank you, Dragon Magic 647. So to understand Huron Blackheart, though, we actually have to cover a lot of stuff. And some of the things we're going to talk about today, we're going to kind of gloss over because they're just really huge events that we will discuss later on. So every now and then you'll probably hear me say, this is not a show about X, it's a show about Huron Blackheart. And that's why we got to refocus around him. But
I will do my best to try to give you like very short, simple versions of what's happening to better expand upon what he's talking about.
Alexis, you used to have your own Chaos Warband, right? So you enjoy playing Chaos or having Chaos forces under your command.
So for the tabletop game, I actually don't play too many Chaos Space Marines. I play a lot of Chaos Demons. But World Eaters have a special place in my heart, and I'm still working on that army. And yeah, I absolutely love Chaos Space Marines. I love the fact that at first they seem like they are justified in what they do and how they go about doing it until they all just get tempted by chaos and go absolutely insane.
Well, Huron's guys are not like that.
Well, I don't know about that one. He's got a mutant hand.
Well, he has a bionic hand, which resulted from injury. So we'll talk about this a lot as we go forward. We have a quick question from Grim Isaac. Says, so we're not talking about the Badab War. Oh, we are.
We have to mention the Badab War, but the Badab War is going to have its own entire episode where we actually go really, really, really in depth into it. But the coolest chapter of Space Marines is from the Badab War.
And that would be?
I want to see. What's your guess?
Raptors? No?
That's right. Star Phantoms.
Star Phantoms. Okay. Star Phantoms are part of the Badab War, and they do play a part. So, anyway, yeah. So to understand Huron Blackheart, you have to understand the Red Corsairs. To understand the Red Corsairs, you have to understand the Astra Claws. To understand the Astra Claws, you have to understand the Badab War. There's a lot.
We have to understand why all of that happens, we need to talk about imperial taxation.
We do, actually. We are going to talk about it. Bureaucracy is sometimes a real pain in the butt. And
it is absolutely terrific that we get to talk about imperial bureaucracy.
Dragon Magic 647 says we do not need to talk about the suffering of the Lamenters. We will probably do an episode on the Lamenters at some point.
Look, the Lamenters, it's always implied that they're suffering. If we don't mention it, they're still doing it over in the corner.
If there's one thing I can say for sure about Huron Blackheart is that this man does not shy away from doing the difficult but necessary tasks to achieve his goals. This guy is ballsy as hell, and I kind of love it. He has made decisions that have cost him a great deal, but he's also built some amazing achievements, especially given his limited resources and like where he is and being hunted by the Imperium. Biofoot 76 says, caw caw, I assume this is the rating call coming from a Hawk stream.
So, how do we start talking about Huron Blackheart? Do we talk about Left Huron?
Yeah.
Or okay.
So Lufgit, it's Lufgt. I mean,
I always pronounced it Luf.
Yeah,
Left Huron.
Luft Huron. We'll go with that.
Or Left Huron, just so I can make it quick and I can pronounce it correctly. Well, not correctly, but pronounce it.
Luft Huron was once a very loyal space marine of the Imperium. He was a scout during what was called the Rebos campaign, and then he became a devastator in the Astral Claws. He made his way all the way up to the First Company, and in the First Company, as a veteran and as a right Huron, need extra sleep. So if there's a left Huron, is there a right Huron? There will be. So in the First Company, he actually became the captain of the Fourth Company as well. You can be a captain and be part of the First Company, etc. of a chapter. And his guys, when he became captain of the Fourth Company, it was proven that he was a leader. Like, he had really good abilities to take charge. He had a lot of strategic prowess. He was extremely skilled as a commander.
I'm just imagining that he said, like, the commanders are just sitting there like, Huron told that person to run around the building and not through it. Tactical genius.
Well, it is said that he used a lot of innovative tactics. You take that as you will. But he had a group of, he had a cult of personality within the Astral Class. He had a lot of followers who were like, Huron is the best, everyone else sucks. And this caused some concern amongst the chapter, obviously. But he eventually became chapter master when the old chapter master, which was Rovik Blake, died fighting the orcs, slain by war boss Vorg Manburna, which is a great name.
We just have to take a second to, like, just have fun with orc names. Orcs have the best names ever. Gut Rippa, Head Basha. There's so many good ones.
Yeah.
Gore Guts.
Urlak Erg.
Urlak Erg.
Gazgul Magaruk Thraka.
He's definitely not Margaret Thatcher. But you know.
Yeah, well, Hawk says we should have a orc name tier list. That might actually work. So, yeah, Chad is starting the tangent this time, Grim Isaac points out. Agreed. Sorry. So so he becomes chapter master of the Astral Claws, and this is the moment that kind of sets him up for the rest of his life, because once he's in charge of the chapter of the Astral Claws, he's assigned to a region of space called the Maelstrom. This is a part Oh, go ahead.
I have a question really quickly.
Yeah.
Do you think when he took charge of the chapter that there were aspects of the chapter that didn't like him because he took charge?
Almost certainly.
Right?
Almost certainly.
Because he was beloved by the normies of the chapter, the Space Marines. He was not liked by a lot of the captains at the time.
No.
So him suddenly going from 4th Company to Chapter Master, kind of a big deal out of nowhere.
Well,
it was earned. It was earned. But
so Luft Huron was a very pragmatic chapter master. He prioritized what worked, what was sufficient to achieve the goal. He did not prioritize a selfless dedication to humanity. And that is where he ran afoul of some of his fellow commanders, as Alexis is talking about, where they were like, yeah.
Hey, protect these people. Why? Just Huron Blackheart. Just why? I'm not here to protect them. I'm here to protect the Imperium.
So let's take a quick diversion and talk about the Austerclass. They will not be a big thing later on, but at this point in Huron's career, they're a big thing. They were part of the 10th founding, created in the 35th millennium. They were established specifically to defend the eastern fringe from the Maelstrom, which I need to talk about what the Maelstrom is. The Maelstrom is a massive warp storm, an area where the warp and real space overlap, and it's in the Ultima Segmentum. It is it's like a baby Eye of Terror.
So for those of you that don't know, warp storm is like an actual nimbus cloud in space that is filled with evil energy that makes magic appear.
So the Maelstrom is second only. It is a baby Eye of Terror in that that is the only thing it is smaller than is the Eye of Terror. It is the second biggest warp storm in the known warp storm in the galaxy pre-Era Indomitus. And when the Cicatrix Maledictum opens up, the Great Rift that splits the galaxy in half after
Gork's Grin.
10th edition, 9th edition, after 9th edition. I think it is 9th edition.
No, it's
8th.
I think it's 8th. 8th edition is the fall of Cadia.
Since 2017.
Since 2017.
Since almost 10 years now. For almost 10 years, the Maelstrom has been one of the major anchoring points of the Great Rift. It is a very volatile region. Obviously, there was a lot of areas around it called the Maelstrom Zone that included a lot of habitable planets.
It is a space fantasy.
And people say 40K is science fantasy. It is absolutely a science fantasy. It is no question about it, science fantasy. Oh, and we've got a super chat. I will read it. Stephen Lucas, 8836. Thank you for supporting us, sir. Feel like the name comes from fantasy vampire Luther Harkon and dark elf Lokir Fellheart and needed a chaos pirate, or was order vice versa? I think
that's a good one.
I think Huron may have come first. I don't know for sure about Harkon and Fellheart, what year they were introduced.
I'm actually checking another character too that's a pirate named Huron.
But it's a very interesting coincidence that they all have very similar names. And they all do eventually become pirates. So there's that. So we've talked about the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom is this big warp storm in space. There's regions around it that need protecting. And the Austerclaws are assigned to this region as this is what you need to protect it.
Oh, okay. The character I was thinking of is now just called Blackheart, and it's the Marvel character, and his story is similar but way different now. He's no longer a pirate, and that makes me sad. Or he was only a pirate in one thing that I read, and that's, yeah.
So the Austerclaws, that's what they were assigned to do. Their martial prowess was very strongly respected. People thought the Austerclaws kicked a hell of a lot of ass. And they were even given the honor of creating successor chapters. They earned this through their deeds of battle. And for a 10th founding chapter to get successor chapters, That's huge.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
That is a giant act of respect on behalf of the Lords of Terra to say you can have a successor chapter. So they did. They founded a successor chapter called the Tiger Claws, and several others. But the only one we know of is the Tiger Claws.
They founded the Cyberpunk gang.
I mean, Tiger Claws and Cyberpunk. Oh God, now I've been playing the crap out of Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. I've been playing the crap out of Fallout 4. Like,
oh wow. All right. So the Ouster Claws became part of a group called the Maelstrom Warders, which is a number of different chapters, including the Executioners and the Lamenters, Mantis Warriors. And the Ouster Claws were they were the preeminent chapter, so they had leadership over the Wardens. The Warders, not Wardens. Wardens is my chapter. Warders, the Maelstrom Warders. This is an alliance of chapters, and they were dedicated to containing the demonic and Xenos threats emerging from the Maelstrom zone, because there were a lot of aliens as well as chaos in that rift.
Why didn't they just call them the Maelstrom Warriors?
I mean, right?
That would have been so much easier.
So what were the Ouster Claws really good at? Boarding actions, close quarters combat, assault bikers, and concentrated firepower. Those were the tactics that defined their doctrine. Excuse me. Then they had some problems. Starting around...
The Imperium tax collector came by and was like, hey guys, how's you? Huron really, he was aggressive. He didn't want to just sit back and wait for things to come out of the Maelstrom. So he led raids into it. And one of these was called the Scourge campaign. But during this period, one of the warder chapters, called the Charnel Guard, got recalled by the Lords of Terra. They just pulled him out. And that's 25% of his force that he had active. So it kind of collapsed the whole assault that he had meticulously planned and led into the Maelstrom. Now, it was successful. They got rid of like 23 different chaos groups and alien groups. Damn.
Yeah, they did really well, but it meant that they had to pull back. And
I got a question about this. The Maelstrom, is it similar to like the Eye of Terror, where once you go past the initial Eye of Terror, there is a zone called like the Veil where the planets are, and then as you go even further in, that's when things get all gobbledygook magic?
Essentially, yes. The Maelstrom, it's the Maelstrom zone is this region right outside of it, which has a lot of planets, habitable zones. And then there's stuff inside the Maelstrom as well. So it's got gradients of warpness as you go in deeper.
Yeah, because like if you go all the way to like say Korn's home planet, I mean the World Eaters. God, that was just dyslexia beating the hell out of me for a second. But if you go to like the planets with like the founding legions on them, they are super messed up and super close to the warp, but they're still actual planets from what I understand.
Well, we will... There was this thing called the Scouring where most of those planets were destroyed of the original 9 Chaos Legions. Talk, bro.
That is I am going to keep this.
Just Alexis. I
love it. But like the thing that I'm thinking of is you've played Battlefleet Gothic Armada.
Oh yeah.
When you actually dive into there and you fight the Chaos Worlds, you're basically doing the Scouring 2.0. That's how I think of it. And as you go further into it is when you go into the actual other dimension.
Right. And to be clear, when Huron's leading the Scourge, what's it called again? The Scourge campaign. That's what it's called, Scourge campaign. When he's leading the Scourge campaign, he's not going into the warp. He's dealing with the planets in the zone that are
that is just
outside,
really close to it.
really close to exactly. Yes.
Yep.
He does eventually go all the way. Yeah, we will talk about that too. But he's cleaning up the Maelstrom zone with the Scourge campaign. Then the Charnel Guard gets recalled to Terra, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And all the Lords of Terra will say is, "Well, we need them elsewhere. They're needed elsewhere." They will give him no other explanation. He's like, "Fuck." But because they got pulled out at the time that they did, and because the campaign was kind of overextended without the Charnel Guard, the Astroclaws sustained massive casualties as they pulled back. And Huron's like, "Hey, can I get some reinforcements?" And Terra's just, they don't even want to hear it. Nothing's available.
Yeah.
There's nothing here. So Huron basically made an executive decision. He's like, "I have to keep the Astroclaws up to date. I have nothing else I can do. Terra's not going to send me any more Marines, and I don't have the resources to rebuild the chapter as fast as I need it to be rebuilt." So what does he do?
I do have a question about this, though. Did he himself ever try to call out to other factions, like the Sisters of Battle or the Imperial Guard?
So actually, in the region of the Maelstrom,
or Imperial Navy, sorry.
In the region of the Maelstrom, he had a pretty significant authority, but he couldn't. At the time, he had no authority over anything other than his own chapter and the other wardens. So he could ask, but a lot of times those were rebuffed. People are like, "No, you got this. You're the Astroclaws." Yeah. So here he is. He's taken massive casualties. He's pulled back, and he's like, "What can I possibly do to rebuild my chapter?" And so he reaches out to the Tiger Claws and he says, "You boys come home." He calls in a successor chapter and just absorbs them. He's like, "You guys are now Astroclaws now. Welcome back."
Now, I do want to point out that this has actually happened multiple times in the lore before. When Dorne's boys were destroyed while defending Terra against the Orcs during the Beast Arises, which is a terrible, terrible series of books. But during this, they activated the Stone Gauntlet, I think it's called, where they recalled all of their chapters to defend Terra. Most of them showed up, but the Imperial Fist were so destroyed at this point that they simply used assets from those other chapters to rebuild the Fists, and then told those guys to go out and get more bodies. This also happened with the Dark Angels. When they sustain damage, they tend to call in their other chapters, because the Dark Angels in 40K still very much act like a legion. They're a legion in all but name. And they will call in successors to fill their ranks while they try to make as many Space Marines as they possibly can to fill it up. Last Wall Protocol. Thank you. It's not Stone Gauntlet.
Last Wall. Well, to secretly absorb your own successor chapter is an act that goes directly against the Codex Astartes.
Yes, it is.
This is the first time the Astroclaws are just like, "You know what? Screw the rules. We're doing what we need to do."
I think other chapters did it by, it was honorable to rejoin, so it was a choice.
If it was protecting Terra, they certainly had the backing of the Lords of Terra on that. So the problem here is that Huron doesn't have it. He's doing it by himself, for himself. And this is the first moment.
Codex Astartes does not support this action.
This is the first moment that the Astroclaws take that step that says, our tradition, we're going to violate our traditions in order to survive, to remain functional. So this is a big deal. Now, we do have a question here from T-Ball 31. Actual question: can we get a breakdown on what successor chapters are? Briefly, yes.
So
go ahead.
All right. So originally, there's nine chapters of Space Marines. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot more than that. 9 legions of Space Marines. There's a lot more than that, but the Imperium only teaches 9 of them for very good reasons. Those chapters were too powerful back in the day, and Guilliman decided to break them up so that no one general had enough power to tackle the entire universe. They didn't want a Horus 2.0. though that did happen later on with the Sisters of Battle. Oopsie daisy. Anyway, these legions were broken up into chapters and had customs that were very reminiscent of their parent chapter and the customs that they had, though they did create their own customs and everything. And a successor chapter is just something that owes homage. I can't say that word with my accent. Wow. I cannot say that. But they're based on the same gene seed as the chapter that birthed them. They tend to be a little bit more extreme as they go down the line a little bit, which is a little crazy, especially with the Black Templars. But yeah, that's pretty much what a successor chapter is.
So only the Lords of Terra can do what's called only the Lords of Terra can decree a Space Marine founding. And foundings is when they generate new chapters of Space Marines to replace those that are lost, or to just create more if they need reinforcements, or they want to. There's a lot of reasons why you might have a Space Marine founding. When you create a Space Marine founding, and there's only 38 of these or so that we know of. We don't know the full number, but we know that there are at least 38 foundings over the 10,000 years since the Horus Heresy. And when a founding is made, they pick one of those 9 original legions and use that gene seed to create what's called a successor chapter. It is extremely rare for non-legion chapters to have successor chapters. The fact that the Astral Claws were given that honor is huge. It's a really big deal. They are part of only a handful of Space Marine chapters that have successor chapters that are not part of the original 9. And yep. So successor chapter is like a child to a parent. It's like, yeah, we owe our gene seed to the primogenitor or the original chapter, but they are their own independent force. They don't owe allegiance or anything like that. They often respect them greatly, and especially in the era Indomitus, we've seen a lot of the original legions. The 9 original legions that then became chapters have been calling back their successors to regroup. And I'm actually going to do an episode about this later on, about like how the legions could eventually reform. But so that's what a successor chapter is. So they reabsorbed their successors, or one of their successor chapters. We don't know how many they had. And that leads us to what's called the Badab War. Okay, so
how are you going to explain the Badab War?
So something that you need to know about the Badab War is that it is one of the most significant internal conflicts in Imperial history. It is probably second only to the Horus Heresy itself. It's difficult to imagine more serious internal strife.
Because this is a civil war.
Yeah, it gets that way. It consumed 17 Space Marine chapters and ended billions of lives. It is a huge event.
I forget what other assets were in there. We know Titans were in there. Knight households were probably in there, though this was made before Knights were added to 40K proper. So retroactively, they would have probably been there. There was a ton of guard regiments there. We know that.
Micah points out that possible loyalist Astral Claw successors might still be around. They might. They certainly might. We don't know who they are, but they could exist. I would love to run into them sometime, actually, because Astral Claws were cool. They had a great paint scheme. Actually, do you have a picture of Huron as the chapter master of the Astral Claws?
As the chapter master? I didn't get that. You said you were going to get it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine. I'll show it.
Yeah, I'll remove this real quick. Boop.
There's a model and there's a piece of artwork. So let me see if I could grab both of those. But essentially, these are from the amazing Forge World books about the Badab War. I do highly recommend it. They are some of the best Forge World books.
Yeah.
Period. For that kind of background and information. So Drop that down a little bit. That up a little bit. Okay. Here we go. I'm ready. I'm going to drop your. You'll have to.
Oh yeah, I got that. Whoop.
Okay, share screen. Here we go.
We're professionals.
We are. Here we go. Here we go, guys. This is the image of Huron Blackheart. Actually, sorry, before he was Blackheart, he was just Luft Huron chapter master of the Astroclaws. It's a really cool paint scheme. It's sort of a gray and gold with blue highlights.
One of the cool things about this guy is he had a heavy flamethrower, which is not common in Space Marine captains.
He took it from the Orc War boss, Warburna.
Yep.
And he repurposed it. He also has a special set of lightning claws that I forget the name of them, but I'll talk about them in a second.
Yeah.
This is the model, which is not nearly as cool.
It's still pretty cool though.
I'm going to call out the paint scheme. I really like the colors. The blue, the gold, and the gray really work together there. Or silver. Go ahead.
He looks like an actual knight. Like an actual knight paint scheme. And I mean like a real historical knight.
Mm.
It's okay.
Yeah. So there, I'll drop this down now that you've seen it. That's what he looked like back in the day. Let me just grab that information for you on the weapon. They were called the Ghost Razors, which was his lightning claw. And the Artificer Heavy Flamer was, I believe, he took from Warburna. Manburna. Vorg Manburna, which is such a cool name.
Manburner.
Love it. All right, so to be clear, this is...
You can't burn me. I'm a woman. The orc. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Walks past you.
This is not an episode about the Badab War, but I absolutely love the Badab War. I'm just going to kind of gloss over it to get to the highlights. There's a lot of stuff that happens post Badab War, but it's a big deal. That's what I'm trying to get across. It's a really, really big deal. So what happened to start the Badab War? Alexis, take a wild guess.
Taxes.
Yes. It boils down to taxes. So you remember how he was asking for help and never got it, right?
Yeah.
So there's this very strategically vital world called Signax. And
Signax, I'm joking.
Signax fell to internal corruption, Chaos Space Marine invasion, and the Mantis Warriors, they fought hard to try and prevent this, but they couldn't. They had they just couldn't stop it. And this was a catastrophe, and it cost millions of lives, and it took this very strategic, vital world out of the control of the Imperium. And this is when Huron's like, okay, forget all the rest of this stuff. We've got to do something. So he leads the Astroclaws to crush a coup attempt on Badab Primaris, which is the main world, the capital world of that subsector, the sector that he's in. And he declares himself the Tyrant of Badab. He assumed direct planetary governance over this world because that was the way he could get all the resources that he needed. I'll just be in charge.
So there is one really funny thing about the Badab War that I absolutely love, and only people of extreme culture will get this. And it is a Kung Pao reference, and it's every time I hear it, I think Gunadab, because killing is Badab, because it's bad wrong.
That's the guy with the gopher chucks, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't seen that movie in forever.
I showed that movie to Victor, and he was just like in awe of it, of how stupid it was. But it's so perfect because it just takes the piss out of itself.
It's a very amusing film if you're in the right mindset.
Yes.
So here's the next thing that happens is basically Huron creates this formal, detailed petition for the High Lords of Terra, and he hand delivers this to them. A chapter master of a very respected chapter, goes to Terra and goes up to the doors. He's like, I have this petition. Please hear me out. We need help or else the Maelstrom's going to crumble. They wouldn't even hear him. They turned him away.
Yeah. I mean, he's lucky they didn't just get the fucking Minotaurs sicked on him.
And things got bad. Huron makes several requests for just basic reinforcements. He's like, can you send me anything? And all of his requests are denied.
He was asking the magic conch, and it was just like, no.
So every chapter has to tie the portions of its gene seed to the Adeptus Mechanicus. That's part of what being a Space Marine chapter is all about. This way, the gene seed is never lost permanently. It's kept on record. They can scan it for mutations. They can check it for abnormalities, that kind of thing. Well, Huron, because he can't get any reinforcements, needs all the damn gene seed. So he stops tithing to the Mechanicus. And he does this for 150 years. He just stops giving them the tithe. So this is both good and bad. It's bad because obviously he's now just thumbing his nose. He's like, fine, if you're not going to help me, I'm not going to follow the rules. Very understandable. Like I'm actually on his side on this. But what it does mean is that he grew his chapter. The Astral Claws got big. They got big. He was able to field multiple battle companies that were the size of full chapters.
Yeah, that's not Codex compliant. You're not supposed to do. You're supposed to declare a crusade first, then it's fine.
Listen, it just was not fine. It was very much not fine. I know a lot of these things that we're saying.
It's just crusade, and it's totally good. You're in the clear. That's a joke on the Black Templar.
A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about with Huron today is very reasonable solutions to very difficult problems. The issue is the Imperium's bureaucracy, the Imperium's oppressive rule just does not tolerate free thinkers. It is not supportive of people who take their own initiative. And Huron is the tragic tale of what happens when you have a very competent, very motivated guy who's been given a very hard job to do and decides, well, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get that job done. And the Imperium's like, no, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. And they're always going to say that, regardless of how. I mean, Alexis has pointed out that, the things he's done are not without precedent. They're not, it's not like he was just out there saying, screw the Imperium. But the High Lords of Terra saw each of these acts as a rebellion against their judgments.
What's weird is they didn't send an Inquisitor within the 150 years. They only sent one after that.
Well, again, the Astral Claws were a very respected chapter. Everyone just a lot of this stuff that happened, they were just like, oh, he's fine. He's got this. He's a very good tactician, very good strategist. He's got an extremely well-respected chapter with numerous successors. The Maelstrom is not the Eye of Terror. Surely he can handle that, right? It was just a lot of rationalizations that allowed him to kind of slip through the cracks in a lot of this ways. So this all comes to a head with the thing called the Ring of Steel. Huron basically takes all the industrial resources from the sector and creates this network of orbital fortifications, defensive stations, and fleet assets encircling the territory of Badab. And this, because it was so expensive and so important to do, he stopped doing the planetary tithe and blocked trade passage in protest. If the Imperium's not going to support me, I'm not giving them money, and I'm not letting their ships pass through my territory.
Somebody finally noticed the big giant cup.
That's not a pint glass. That's a liter glass.
It's a whole liter.
All right, we've got a super chat here from N7 Greenfire. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your support. The saddest thing is if Gilliman was around, Huron would have gotten an attaboy and got Primaris reinforcements. Yes, If you met Huron during this period, everyone would be like, wow, this guy's awesome as a Imperial Space Marine.
Okay. I think prior to the blockades, once the blockades happened, Guilliman would be pissed.
I don't know. Gilliman is, keep in mind,
Gilliman would go there and talk to him, though.
Right.
And that's what would solve the problem.
Exactly.
He would talk to him.
I think he'd be less angry and more concerned. He'd be like, what's going on? You know?
Yeah.
But
no,
N7...
I think even Lion would be understanding. He'd be like, oh, okay, that makes total sense. Have you tried, just taking an entire legion?
Yeah. I mean, it's really important to realize that Huron, up to this point, has been very reasonable. He's been like making the proper requests. He only takes action when it's necessary, and the actions he takes are in furtherance of his mission. So he's pretty reasonable at this point. But N7 Greenfire, thank you. It's a really good point.
Also, everyone, if you want to support the channel and help out what we do here, please use Super Chat. You can ask us a whole bunch of questions. You can ask us off-topic questions as well. And all of that just goes to helping us out. Like, I just used what I got last month to get a new tattoo, which is really uncomfortable because it is on my belly.
Alexis is right. The Super Chats really fuel Lorebeards 40K, and we are deeply appreciative of all your support. It is how we keep this thing going.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
And we do appreciate you, Lore Seekers. We do appreciate you. So he creates the Ring of Steel and stops tithing, starts blockading traffic.
In all fairness, this is actually a really, really good thing that he made. Because it makes total sense.
The problem is that there is merchant guilds and trade lords who have exclusive rights to pass goods through the Maelstrom, and they complain to the Lords of Terra. And where the Lords of Terra would not hear on Blackheart, they heard the merchants.
What? Our money's not getting here? I can't stand for this.
Exactly. So this creates what's called the Badab Schism. An inquisitor and representatives of the merchants and the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Administratum, they put together an investigation fleet, and they tried to force passage through the Ring of Steel. Well, they were destroyed in their entirety.
Yeah, that's what you call a tactical pickle. Oopsie daisy, our bad. You get at least one per crusade.
And Huron, his official report says the fleet was destroyed only after refusing to submit to lawful authority and threatening violence. Yeah, this is the moment where everyone stops giving him the benefit of the doubt.
So weirdly enough, a bunch of Space Marine chapters did agree with him, though.
Yeah, well, remember the Warders were this alliance that he was kind of in charge of, and they were all kind of like, yeah, we see firsthand the kind of crazy aliens and chaos renegades that come pouring out of the Maelstrom. We have to stop them. Do what you need to do to make that happen, because otherwise, we're going to fail, and failing is bad. Even the most even the least loyal of the loyalists don't want to fail in their duties.
Mm-hmm.
There's just so much of the Badab War. Let's just say this starts this massive conflict, and we'll jump to the end. There's this massive conflict that involves 17 Space Marine chapters. Billions of people die. It is a huge civil war where Huron and his boys are fighting against the forces that are sent from the Lords of Terra. And ultimately, it comes down to this pretty major battle on Badab Primaris, which is, again, the capital of the sector. The Palace of Thorns was the citadel from which Huron ruled the region. Yes, Mr. Mike Hates Peasant says, Minotaurs, raw! Yeah, the Minotaurs are part of this. Lamenters, Mantis Warriors, and Executioners, Micah points out, are part of the Warders. They are. The Executioners, by the way, are a very interesting and famous successor chapter of the Imperial Fists. The Lamenters are a very interesting and famous successor chapter of the Blood Angels.
This is also true. The Lamenters did side on the wrong side. And then they, halfway through the war, they're just like, hey, wait a second. Oopsie daisy.
You may be thinking the Executioners.
Was it the Executioners? I thought it was the Lamenters that also were on the wrong side.
Well, so they were both on the wrong side, but one of them flipped at the end. It's the Executioners.
Okay, yeah, the Lamenters, they only flipped after the battle, right?
Yeah, I will try not to make this episode about the Badab War. I'm going to try really hard. I'm going to try really hard. The Exiled One, 8002. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the support. Was there any notable fleet stuff from the conflict? Yes. The Austroclaws had a pretty significant fleet. And there were a lot of void battles.
Fleets to actually crack through the defense of the planets.
The Ring of Steel that we talked about, yeah.
And when doing so, they had to actually pincer it from both sides just to divide the forces so they could get in.
So the Star Phantoms, this chapter that Alexis really likes, they're the ones that lead them final assaults on the Palace of Thorns at Badab Primaris. And they end up basically driving the Austroclaws off planet. Sebastian Mueller, 7013, says, oopsie daisy, Magnus please. Magnus was in a similar situation, but not there's a lot we could get into. I want to do a whole episode about the Burning of Prospero because it's awesome. We'll get into that. Anyway, so we're at the very end of this conflict. There's a really important thing I just need to get to. When the Star Phantoms attacked Huron and his honor guard, he caught a Melta-Blast to the face at point blank range.
Now,
this
that
should kill him.
Normally kills you.
Yes, that should have killed him. It did not.
If it was Jurgen that shot him, then yes, he would have died. Like literally, because Jurgen is a blanket, would have prevented the next thing that happened.
Essentially, so Huron's got half his body vaporized and pledges himself to Chaos Undivided and survives thanks to the gifts of Chaos. And he and around 200 Austroclaws are the only survivors of the Badab War. They flee. They just get the hell out of there. Again, I'm glossing over tons of stuff that happened, but essentially the Lamenters and the Mantis Warriors were sentenced to 100-year penitent crusades, and they were not allowed to recruit. Micah says he's a named Space Marine, so nothing could kill him. Yeah. These penitent crusades were basically death marches. There's reasons why you don't hear a lot about the Mantis Warriors, and the Lamenters just get screwed every time they do anything. So this is one of the things that they got screwed with, was this penitent crusade where they couldn't recruit. They suffered catastrophic losses against Tie Fleet Kraken, and we will talk no more about the Lamenters for this episode. The Executioners were the ones that flipped at the end. They got to avoid. They were allowed to recruit during their penitent crusade, so they survived fairly well compared to the other three. The Austroclaws themselves were under what's called an Edict of Obliteration. And what does that mean? Well, it means that the Austroclaws, the Tiger Claws, and Luft Huron were all wiped from Imperial records, treated as if they'd never happened. All of their achievements and honors stripped. The Austroclaw prisoners were, including the wounded, were blindfolded and strangled to death without honor.
That's all it takes to kill a Space Marine.
Well,
how long did they strangle them for? Because they probably just went into suspended animation.
It's more. Was it strangled or was it swords? I thought it might have been killed with swords. Anyway, they were not killed with bolters, which is the typical like execution. These guys were given a very special kind of execution because nobody liked them. And so Huron is now no longer Luft Huron. He is now Huron Blackheart. And he takes his 200 Austroclaws, who are no longer Austroclaws. He decides to instead build something new called the Red Corsairs.
He becomes a pirate.
It took me an hour just to get past the Badab War. I can't believe it.
If we went into more detail, we'd have 3 episodes on just the Badab War.
The Badab, well, so yeah, I cannot stress enough that the Badab War is a big deal and deserves a closer look. We will do a whole episode on it.
I did make a joke about if Jurgen was around and shot Huron in the face at that point, Huron would have died. And the reason for that is actually because Jurgen is a blank and would have stopped him from making the pact with Chaos.
So Huron, his chief apothecary is this guy called Garyon, who would later be called the Corpse Master. And Garyon,
it's just Gary with a fancier name. It's actually
Garyon. I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm doing my best here.
He's an Eevee evolution. He's what happens when you feed an Eevee a dead body.
So Hawk is praising me. He says, honestly, this is not too bad. Andy takes 30 minutes just to do an intro. You've done an intro and the prologue. All right, I'll stop feeling bad about myself then. There we go. It's difficult to resist these tangents from time to time. And Badab War is literally one of my favorite parts of the lore. So I'm like, stop. Don't get into detail.
Don't go into detail. That's what people are here for.
Well, I will go into detail on Huron for sure. And Seven Green Fire, thank you, sir. Another one. When you think about it, Titus is basically pre-Chaos Huron, just in a better age of the Imperium. Would be neat if they get a head-to-head conflict. It's possible.
I love that idea.
That's really cool.
I don't know though. Titus's rule is a little bit more. Is less tyrannical and more heroic in his own way.
Well, keep in mind,
because of the way he's seen.
Keep in mind, Gilliman is alive. Titus is an Ultramarine. He's got Ultramar to back him up. This is not some backwater sector space Titus is in. He's got way more resources and way more support than Huron ever had.
Yeah, that's very true.
Plus the Primarch. Stephen Lucas, 8836. Welcome, sir. It's good to see you back. Badab Schism. Was it the Changeling, Alpha Legion Black Ops, Xenos, or a frustrated border agent? You decide. So this is talking about the investigation fleet that was wiped out by the Ring of Steel, trying to get through. Wow.
That's a good comment, though.
That's a good one. That's funny. So Garyon puts it back together. Oh, wait, we got another super chat. Super Orlock. Thank you, sir. Yo-ho, yo-ho, near the Codex will never go.
Huron Blackheart looks at the Codex. I can't read. Taxes are dumb.
So the Apothecary Garyon puts him back together and replaces a whole bunch of his body with bionics. Some people will say heretical enhancements as well because of the deal with chaos that he made. If you look at his new model, he's got this obvious bionic power fist with a built-in flamer, which is pretty rad. There's his new model right there. That's the old model. That's actually the old model. But you can see his bionic arm ends in a power fist or lightning claws. There it is. That's the new one.
Look at that glow up.
Yeah, that's a
really good glow up.
Good looking model. He also got a chaos spawned familiar called a Hamadryia. Now you can see that down in the lower left corner of this image. If you go back to that older one for a second, that's the older version of the Hamadryia. Its appearance changes. It's never the same twice. It's like a little bitty changeling. And the Hamadryia is a representation of Huron's link to chaos, and through it he can actually conjure psychic powers. Even though he's not a psyker himself, he can, through the Hamadryia, he can use warp energies to create psychic effects.
He grabs its tail and just starts beating people with it. It's a force weapon.
Does he have the psyker keyword in the new edition? The current edition?
I have no idea. I don't have his rule set just yet.
Stephen Lucas, 8836, forgot Badab seceded as a loyalist independent zone. Thank you for the super chat, sir. Yes, it was a loyalist zone up until the investigation fleet decided to. The implication is that the Inquisitor and the investigation fleet were just not there to listen to any excuses. They were there to tear down what he'd built. That's the implication. So yeah, good point. So the Hamadryad, we talked about that. Lots of cybernetic systems. The weapon that he's got there is called the Tyrant's Claw, which is, double check here.
It's got a built-in flamethrower now.
It has a built-in flamethrower, heavy flamer, but it's a bionic power fist is what it's called. He also has a power axe. You can clearly see that in the model. So he's got his choice of two pretty serious close combat weapons.
Mm-hmm.
So
he also has an iron halo.
That's true. Well, that's from being a chapter master. That's his original iron halo.
Yep.
So he's got the Hamadryad. Oh, the psychic abilities that he gets from the Hamadryad are usually precognition, astral telepathy, and some things that are similar to Chaos Sorcerer's abilities to manipulate time around him.
Oh, so that's, completely busted. I'm just going to slow down time while you're next to me and
It's minor.
All right, let's go.
Minor effects at best. By the way, if you notice on the back of his cloak there, he's got an Eldar charm or an Eldar rune, which is pretty neat. Clearly been fighting some Corsairs. So Huron, Luft Huron is no more. He is now here on Blackheart. The former Tyrant of Badab takes his chapter and calls them now the Red Corsairs. He's got 200 guys. That's it out of, probably around 7,000 or 8,000 that he'd previously commanded. Of just his own chapter. We're not even counting the other warders.
Yeah.
So what do? Well, they establish themselves in the Maelstrom zone because they know it very well. And they know where the places are where they won't be found.
They know where the best bars are.
They have intimate knowledge of the warp currents, the space lanes, strategic choke points. They know everything about this region. So they vanish. They just go in there and they aren't seen for a long time. This is when they transform from protectors to become the same threat that they once fought against.
Which now sucks because the steel circle what was it? It's
the Ring of Steel, yeah.
The Ring of Steel is now destroyed.
Yes.
And then he comes back with revenge. And it's like, duty cakes, if we just left this up. Yeah, pickles.
Yeah, there's an Eldar charm on the front of his stuff too. So he's clearly been fighting Corsairs quite a bit. So Huron decides to dominate the Maelstrom. All of the pirate bands, renegades, chaos cultists, and outlaws. He's like, okay, I don't have to wipe you out anymore. I just have to make sure you know who's in charge. And he starts going around and building a coalition. He starts to gather under his wing all of these forces, and they turn into the de facto rulers of the Maelstrom region. That's Garyon, I believe, the apothecary there.
Yep. Actually, I think it doesn't say his name.
Okay, well, I think that's Garyon. It may not be, but I think that's Garyon. These are the Red Corsairs models, the brand new ones that were revealed, I think, just a couple weeks ago. It's got the Turellian and the Barghezi in there, Chaos Sorcerer, some kind of executioner guy, and a Chartist captain or space captain. So yeah, he also needs more gene seed, right? Because he needs more gene seed. That's the only way he's going to be able to grow his survivors. It's the only way he's going to be able to replace losses. Well,
now, there are plenty of people he could talk to get more gene seed. He just has to go behind the store and, get on his... I'm joking. But he could talk to Fabius Bile about this. This would be a perfect spot for him to meet Fabius Bile. But instead, what does he do?
Well, he does two things. First of all, the Red Corsairs just start collecting gene seed from fallen space marines on both sides of any engagement that they fight in. This is now standard operating procedure for Red Corsair raids. Once they're done, Garyon or whoever he's trained as apothecaries or to carry on that role, they go around and they cut out the gene seed of everybody that died, all the Space Marines that died, and they bring it back with them. But also, one of his most audacious operations, there was this group called the Marines Errant. They were a chapter that he had worked with in the past. He knew them well. He knew where their fortress monastery was. He'd been there. So he does a raid on the fortress monastery on a planet called Villamus and coordinates with some Night Lords to do this, which is kind of awesome. They steal the entire gene seed repository.
It's so silly though, because it's like they broke in and they're just carrying them out. Go, 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 go.
Well, yeah, they got the entire. It according to lore, they got virtually all of it.
Go, 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 go.
Comes yeah, they just
work. Go.
It was a heist. He staged a heist against a Space Marine chapter.
He literally is a pirate.
Yeah, this is his first major raid. This is his first major raid. Yes. You're getting it.
I'm starting to believe.
Yes. A pirate's life for me. Yo ho ho. And a bottle of rum. This was kind of an enormous catastrophe for the Marines Errant, because while they can get a trickle of gene seed back from Terra and things like that, it basically it put an entire chapter on its knees for a very long time.
Yeah. Especially with the Night Lords there. The Night Lords just need to kill like chapter masters. They can never be replaced at this point, and just go after scouts. And that whole chapter is dead.
So Red Corsairs, these guys become kind of a dark reflection of the Death Watch. They become the place you go if you're a Space Marine of any loyalist chapter and you don't want to be a loyalist anymore. You go join the Red Corsairs. They will take you in. Any captured Space Marines that they get on raids, Huron offers them a very simple choice: join us or die. And that's how the Red Corsairs started to grow in numbers. The conversion rate is surprisingly high, particularly among Space Marines who have already harbored grievances against Imperial authority or their own chapters. And there's a note about a battle in which Blackheart personally led an assault on a Space Wolves strike cruiser, where several Space Wolves turned on their own fellows and joined him rather than face death at the hands. Rather than die, they were like, "Okay, we'll join you." Right? Like,
do you think that was Vagnar's Black Wolves?
God, I don't know. They were unhappy Space Wolves. That's very clear. They were Space Wolves who were not happy with their lot.
They were not potty trained properly, and thus they're angry.
So Garyon, the Corpse Master, he's now their lead apothecary of the Red Corsairs. He's the one that processes all the recruits, takes gene seed from unwilling subjects. This is a bad guy. A lot of torture, heretical bioengineering, expedited implantation procedures. Garyon is like, he wants to be Fabius Bile, but he's not as good. He's not
as cool.
No. Entire warbands and companies of Space Marines have gone renegade and joined the Red Corsairs over time. Any Space Marine who goes renegade in the Ultima Segmentum essentially just eventually gets there. They become kind of like the French Foreign Legion. They'll take anybody. And once you're a Red Corsair, it doesn't really matter who you were. They in older versions of the Red Corsair models, they have all their chapter markings marked out with an X. These new ones don't have their old chapter markings marked out. They just have the claw of the Corsairs.
Yeah,
but
if you find anything for it.
If you ever wanted to field a bad guy force of Deathwatch, and remember, there are no good guys of 40k, but if you ever wanted to found a dark mirror of Deathwatch, the Red Corsairs are the way to go. Just paint over existing chapter markings with a big X, put on a few chaos bits, and they're Red Corsairs. Hawk asks, what would the Cackling Death think of the Red Corsairs? That was the warband we built in our Let's Build a Warband episode.
Oh,
the hyenas.
I think they wouldn't fight them; they'd avoid them, and because the Red Corsairs could probably steal a bunch of their Marines.
And remember, the Cackling Death is just on the upswing. Like they're slightly larger than a usual force. So yeah. Ricky Chapman, 3377. Thank you for your support, sir. Fun fact, Blackheart is a major antagonist in our tabletop role-playing game campaign we've shown models from. That's right.
Yep.
We have seen models from his tabletop role-playing game campaign. And Huron Blackheart makes a great antagonist for role-playing games because he's a pirate king. How cool is that? So
Pirate King Space Marine. Why can't we get this for like Sisters of Battle? Why can't we get like fallen sister characters?
By the time we get to the Era Indomitus, there are rumors that Huron's forces have grown as large as a old Space Marine Legion, suggesting tens of thousands of Red Corsairs. The lore essentially says the Red Corsairs are the second biggest group behind the Black Legion.
Yep. Which is crazy to think about.
Well, remember, he started out with 200 guys and a dream. He actually, so the Red Corsairs, somebody asked earlier about the naval forces. The Red Corsairs have got a battle barge that used to be a Word Bearers battle barge. They have a captured Space Wolf strike cruiser. They have multiple Executor class Grand Cruisers, multiple strike cruisers and escorts. They have a demonically possessed Stormbird, which is like an old version of a Thunderhawk, and those are really cool.
It's a lander craft.
And some kind of vast support fleet, including interceptors and bombers, numerous modified civilian vessels, and captured Corsair ships.
Wait, they have captured Corsair. They have Eldar ships.
I don't know if when they say Corsair ships, it might just be space pirates and not actual Eldar Corsairs. Yeah, I don't know.
It would be really cool.
So what is it? They're called the Red Corsairs. They fight Eldar Corsairs. There's a lot of Corsairs.
It's the whole warrior debacle. The Tyrannid warrior, the Hearthkin warrior, the warrior warriors, the Necron warriors.
But the punctuation mark I want to put on this is that by the time of the Era Indomitus, he commands the largest pirate fleet in the Eastern Imperium, and he can sustain multiple offensive operations in multiple systems simultaneously. The Red Corsairs are not just a guy that shows up to one planet and steals things anymore. They are, a giant fleet that can show up in multiple systems all at the same time and take all of your stuff. In fact,
I'm so excited to read the new book, The Maelstrom, where they fight Eldar, because that is such a cool battle.
Alexis, they got a crown jewel for their space fleet at the Fall of Cadia. What is that?
Well, they got it technically before the new Fall of Cadia.
Around the Fall of Cadia, they received a crown jewel of their space fleet. What is it?
That is the Blackstone Fortress. One of the 3 that Abaddon had left, which wasn't destroyed because one of them died during the Gothic Wars. Then he had 3 left. He gave 1 to Huron, 1 was destroyed, and 1 we don't know the current location of.
So of the 2 that we know that Abaddon had, 1 was destroyed and he gave the other 1 to Huron. Why did he give Huron a Blackstone Fortress?
An alliance.
That's right. It was a bribe. He's like, I'm going to give you this Blackstone Fortress, and you and your Corsairs are going to support me in the 13th Black Crusade.
Yep.
Blackstone Fortresses, for people who don't know, there's one of the most powerful space fortifications in the galaxy. They're capable of laying waste to entire planets. They're of unknown origin, although they're connected to both the Eldar and the Necrons. We know it's heavily implied that they're connected to the Necrons. Yep. Some lore suggests that the Eldar god Vol may have built them, but that seems unlikely.
Let me see if this image is... No, I wanted to open up just the image.
And there's also a thing called the Hand of Darkness that was found during the 13th Black Crusade. That's the one crashing into Cadia right there.
Yeah, that's the one that got yeeted into Cadia.
Look at that thing.
That's not where you're supposed to park your spaceship, by the way.
Yeah, everybody remember where we parked. All right, so questions.
Fortresses are also incredible command vessels. We don't know exactly how fast they fly. We don't know how they teleport, but they can teleport apparently. We do know that they have one large cannon that can fire indefinitely. And if you get 3 or more of them together, you can supercharge a sun and kill an entire sector of space. So, you know, they're pretty powerful. Just putting that out there.
So this is not an episode about the Red Corsairs, although it could be, because the Red Corsairs have been involved in a lot of stuff. The main thing you need to take away from this is that Huron built them from a tiny group to a massive threat, and they are second only to the Black Legion in a lot of ways, which makes them a major antagonists in the setting. And it's very ironic. It's a tragic fall from grace, as Huron had been in command of a whole sector space and had been in command of a extremely well-regarded and respected chapter, and now he's a pirate captain leading pirate bands against the same people. They eventually did take over the Maelstrom region. The Red Corsairs conquered all of that shit back, and the Imperium lost it forever because they wanted to play games with taxes. Yes, it does kind of come down to the taxes, because you notice everything. The Lords of Terror didn't really care about all the Space Marines dying, but as soon as trade got interdicted, as soon as the ties stopped coming in, they were like, something must be done.
Yep. It's actually kind of crazy, because I do feel bad for Huron Blackheart, because he tried to do the right thing and was corrupted by chaos to do so. But his fall from being an Imperial to being chaos is just, yeah, taxes kind of just ruin everything, and chaos will take advantage of taxes.
Snatterino, which is a great name, points out that the Blackstone Fortress Abaddon gifted Huron was a bit broken after he tried to put a demon in it. Abaddon says he gifted it to Huron so he could get some benefit from it. Possibly.
Yeah.
It's mentioned in the novel. I read the novel Huron Blackheart, which is by Guy Haley. It's actually really good. It's in the novel. It's mentioned that the 4 chaos gods are constantly like offering Huron blessings or dangling gifts, and he has to stay very wary of accepting any of these things. And he's of course very proud of charting his own path. He's an anti-authoritarian now, which makes a lot of sense. So he's like, you chaos gods, stop telling me what to do. I'm going to do my own thing.
I'm going to do it myself with blackjack and hookers.
Exactly. Huron, the only demon he really consorts with is the Hamadryia. He doesn't really he doesn't outlaw chaos worship or demons or anything like that. So he just says, that's not really our thing. This is,
yeah, as far as I know, he doesn't have any demon princes under his control.
Well, you remember when we were doing the build of Warband, and there was levels of chaos worship, and one was just kind of neutral. And I mentioned that the Red Corsairs are a great example of a neutral warband, where they're like, it's not really our thing. If you want to be a chaos worshiper, go do it. But we're not going to, there's no institutional chaos worship in the Red Corsairs. Instead, it's just, whatever you want to do. Huron just doesn't really sanction it. He's not really a big fan.
Yeah.
Morning to Crescent says, so he's a chaos rogue trader space marine. He's all the Fantasy Flight games, role-playing games at once.
Yes, he is. He is literally all of them. Well, my guy's a space pirate captain that controls this sector of space, and he has a magic spaceship.
So, do you have any questions about the Red Corsairs, the Austerclaws, the Badab War, or Huron Blackheart before I go on to his more recent acts?
So his little pet there is one of only a very, 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 very few demons of Undivided that we know of. In fact, I think it's the only demon of Undivided that has a miniature.
It's I mean, it's certainly a warp entity, and it acts a lot like a demon. I mean, it's a little bit questionable whether it is or isn't specifically a demon, because as you point out, it's unique. It's a unique creature. It may be just some form of Xenos, but it could be straight up demon. And the fact that it was given to him as part of the pact with Chaos strongly suggests it's a demon. I think he could make a case for it to be a demon for sure, and it is seemingly undivided, which is pretty cool.
He's never had any like interest in any of the other greater Chaos characters like Be'lakor or like Typhus or any of the Primarchs. He's only done dealings with, as far as I'm concerned, he's only ever done dealings with Abaddon.
That seems to be the case. Again, Huron is very he's anti-authoritarian. He doesn't want anybody above him. He's happy to just do his own thing. He kind of just wants to be left alone. I think seems to be the majority. He's like, leave me alone. Let me do things the way I want to do it, because I've sundered all my ties to the Imperium, and I am my own man, and I'm not gonna give that up anymore to anyone.
Oh, and I did want to point out this really quickly. There are unaligned entities. You are correct, but I'm talking strictly miniatures.
Yeah, there's very few that have miniatures. She's right. There's of the miniatures, of the demons that have miniatures, it is possibly the only undivided one.
Yes, and Be'lakor is not undivided. He's chosen by all of them, which is a really weird thing to say, because he's got all the blessings, but he's not undivided. He's been aligned to each one. Be'lakor's weird, especially in 40K, where his story is just kind of up in the air.
So we talked about the fall of Vilamus, which is where that was the raid they did, the heist.
The fall of Llamas.
Vilamus. It's the place Llamas. Where it's where they did the raid, the heist of all the Gene Seed. But one of the other major things that he was involved in is they called the Gildar Rift campaign. My friend Sarah Cockwell, who is a Black Library author, wrote a book about this as part of the Silver Skulls books. She writes those. So the Silver Skulls are Space Marine chapter that ends up fighting in this Gildar Rift campaign. It's a critical. What?
I just want to answer this really quickly. Vashtor is not undivided. Vashtor is aligned to himself, and he's trying to make himself a god.
So like a more ambitious Huron.
Yeah.
Does Abaddon's sword count as a mini?
Yes,
is a good question.
I do count that.
All right, so that's another possible undivided demon.
That's another undivided demon. That's confirmed undivided. In Be'lakor, I would give you as undivided, but I would consider Be'lakor undecided instead of undivided, because he's been chosen by all four gods. He's just never committed to any of them.
Got to commit to the bit, Be'lakor. So the Gildar Rift is this big critical strategic region that the Silver Skulls patrol and protect, and the primary world there is called Gildar Secundus. It's where they get a whole lot of Promethium. Promethium is, of course, the fuel source for all the infrastructure, starships, vehicles, flamers, anything that runs on gasoline. That's what Promethium is. So
I love how Promethium has changed over the years, because apparently they put it in nuclear reactors.
I don't know about that. It'd be interesting to talk about that. I do want to do an episode sometime on like the jargon of 40K, like Vox, Promethium, Auspex, things like that, and how that's all from Dan Abnett's books, which is
we just have to get Dan Abnett on.
I mean, if we can. He's a very busy guy, but we'd love to get him on. So where was I? Yes, the Gildar Rift. That's where a ton of Promethium is, and Huron basically says, "Okay, I want it." So he sends in that captured Space Wolf strike cruiser that we mentioned before. He sends that in on its own. And basically, it's like a taunt. It's like a, hey, look what I've got. And it pulls away a large portion of the defending fleets. Super Orlok's back. Demons, that's not my bag, baby. Huron. Here's your self-published novel, Demons and Me. They are my bag, baby. Gary the Corpse Muncher or whatever. Yeah, it's referencing that scene from the first Austin Powers. That's not my bag, baby. It's handed a book called "That's My Bag." Yeah, very good, very good. The Space Wolf strike cruiser was bait, and the defenders bit on the bait. So then the rest of the fleet rolls in and gets Red Corsairs on the ground. This is where the Silver Skulls get involved. The Reds, basically the Silver Skulls had a captain and an entire company there, and they were destroyed. Huron Blackheart personally fought the captain, single combat, and despite the Silver Skull captain's considerable skill, Huron destroyed him, took him out. And they despite that win, Huron and his guys basically had to flee because there were more stuff coming in. They took a bunch of Promethium and they got the hell out.
Do you think they took the bodies of those fallen Marines with them?
The gene seed, probably.
Yeah, because like I can imagine they're just like, we don't have time to harvest their gene seed, just grab them. And you just see one Space Marine running with like 50 corpses on him.
So the thing about the Guild RF campaign is that Huron retreated when it became clear he was not going to, that his strategic objective was unattainable. This is the kind of guy that Huron is. A lot of Chaos Lords will be like, no, I must have the thing, like a Saturday morning cartoon villain. I must have the thing. And they will put everything into it and die fighting for the thing, or get it only it costs them all of their armies, their forces. And Huron's smarter than that. Huron's like, okay, listen, this isn't worth it, and he'll get the hell out. That's the kind of Chaos Lord he is. I just want to be, that's the reason I brought it up as a thing.
So in a lot of ways, he's like Abaddon, where Abaddon will distract people with these great crusades only to grab one item and leave.
Well,
and
what
he's
is
like, well, I got what I needed, so yeah, you guys won the crusade. Okay, bye.
There's a big difference between Abaddon and Huron, though, with that outlook. Abaddon, of course, is a 10,000-year-old veteran. He knows all the tricks, and what Abaddon's goals are, he always achieves those goals. Like if he wants a thing, he gets that thing. He's very good about making his goals achievable, is what I'm trying to say. Whereas Huron is like, okay, I want this thing. I'm going to try to get that thing. Okay, it's way too big for me. I'm going to get out. And it's a difference that's subtle, but it's important to point out that Huron he doesn't have the same perspective that Abaddon has, but he is a very pragmatic dude.
Also, Abaddon has the ability to just call in demons.
True.
Like when all else fails, he could just Pokeball in a couple of greater demons and be like, all right, I'm bailing.
So the Red Corsairs launched a major invasion of the homeworld of a very famous chapter. What chapter do you think that was, Alexis?
I'm sorry, I spaced out for a second. They attacked the homeworld of it. Wait, is it my Star Phantoms?
No.
Okay.
Very much more famous.
Oh, Ultras?
Nope.
Oh, you got me thinking. Dark Angels? Wait, they don't have a homeworld.
Yes, well, not as such. No,
it wasn't Medusa, was it?
No, it was Chigoris.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah, they attacked the homeworld of the White Scars.
The White Scars are relevant?
I mean, I would argue that they are. And Snotterino says Mongolian throat singing ensues. Yeah, I want to see that. I want to see Chigoris with all the throat singing. That would be rad.
Sorry, just anytime White Scars are involved in a story, it takes me a second because they are just the most irrelevant first founding chapter.
So this is an audacious assault on a first founding chapter's homeworld. It's kind of operation only possible for a force approaching Legion strength, like the Red Corsairs. They attacked it during the period where their great Khan, Jubal Khan, was absent, and Huron Blackheart personally led the invasion. This is a situation that grew pretty critical, and this is one of the few times when Huron did have demonic allies come with him because he needed them. Corsaro Khan, who you may have heard of, shows up.
He's the guy that killed Doom Rider.
he shows up to defend the homeworld and is basically the one that forces the Chaos Space, the Red Corsairs to retreat. But during the withdrawal, they managed to find and capture Jubal Khan. So
Okay.
yeah, they attacked the homeworld. Although they were driven off, they took the chapter master with them, which is, again, it's hard for me to explain. That's
They're
a big
loot
goddamn
goblins.
deal. That's a big goddamn deal.
They're goddamn loot goblins.
So what do you imagine that would be like, Alexis?
That is actually like horrific if they can get information out of them. Because that's the entire chapter's information in one guy. Like, honestly, what they should have done is like chopped off his hand and ate it.
They tortured Jubal Khan for solar weeks to get all of the information out of him that they could. And
just real quick, to explain to people what I mean when a Space Marine eats somebody, yeah, they can actually gain all of the knowledge by eating somebody's brain. So Huron should have just like ripped open his skull cap and ate part of his brain.
Well, yeah, they should have. They didn't. But what they did do, the injuries and trauma that they inflicted on Jubal Khan were so severe that he never fought for the chapter again and surrendered his. It ended his 10 years Great Khan. He did get rescued by Crosaro Khan, who did eventually get to pull him out from the Red Corsairs. But by then it was too late. The Red Corsairs learned everything they needed to know. And as I said before, Jubal Khan never fought again.
They should have just ate his brain.
They should have.
I'm just assuming the writer forgot that they had that ability.
A lot of people forget that Space Marines can do that. Although this is actually it's a big function of the Flesh Terrors. When we talk about the Flesh Terrors, eventually we'll get into that. So that is then they got involved in the 13th Black Crusade, but that's the majority of the big events that Huron Blackheart was involved in. It also showed, we talked about how he's a strategic thinker and he uses innovative tactics. All of the examples I gave show off those innovative tactics, using captured ships as bait, attacking when your chapter master's off planet, tactical withdrawals that include, like, that was the reason they got off Shagoris in the first place was to grab Jubal Khan as he was coming back to get the hell out, which is an amazing feat of improvisation, if you ask me.
I'm just imagining the Alpha Legion were about to do the same thing, and he's just like, yank, and runs away with them.
Yoink. So he's a very practical, results-oriented guy. He's not, if your typical Chaos Lord is like Cobra Commander, this is a reference only 80s kids are going to get, then Huron Blackheart is like Megatron. He's far more interested in what can I get now than being crazy.
I have to point this out. You compared him to Megatron. Do you know what the original story of Megatron was on like Cybertron when he was leading the revolt against people?
Go ahead.
He was trying to form a union.
So yeah.
The comparison is really good.
Lichwa Kier says, why not Skeletor? Because Skeletor is not competent. Megatron is actually a competent leader.
I mean, yeah, he fought a war for 10 millennia.
And
he never won. Competence.
Here's another interesting fun fact. The Red Corsairs under Huron Blackheart is a meritocracy.
Why?
I know.
If he was the Tyrant of Badab.
I know. That's what they called him.
What, did he have just like a change of heart? What did like a kid walk up to him like, hey, you're being an asshole. Can you like not? And he's like, oh, damn, I am. Let me not do that.
Now, failure or betrayal still gets very swift, severe punishments, just like any Chaos Warband. But the pragmatic approach of, hey, as long as you deliver results, we're going to leave you, we're going to let you do whatever you want. That appeals to a hell of a lot of Space Marines who are fed up with the much more structured, much more strict, and often bureaucratic nightmare of the Imperium. He actually, so because he knows the Codex Astartes really well, he's able to use that against various chapters. Like he knows
they won't expect us to attack them without honor. Smirk.
Well, the Codex lays out specific reactions and specific actions to take under certain circumstances, and Huron knows that. He, unlike many Chaos Lords, he's willing to use that knowledge against the Imperium, which
he reads.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we were saying. If Guilliman had met him prior to the Badab War, we would be singing a whole different song about Luft Huron being the most awesome dude, right? Because he's a very awesome dude, and I really like him as a Chaos Lord. He's he's probably been my favorite Chaos Lord. And he also likes, unlike most Chaos Lords, he will lead most critical assaults personally.
Yeah, that's something even Abaddon doesn't do. Like, Abaddon doesn't like being in the front line. He likes doing his objective and leaving. Also doesn't help that Abaddon keeps getting bodied every time he tries.
And one more thing I should point out is that it is rare for a chapter master to come around who is good at coordinating naval, that is void ship combat, ground combat, and aerial assets all at the same time.
The only one I can think of is Kulgar.
Huron can do that quite well.
Yeah.
He's talented at it. And yeah, I want to point out again, like a lot of his stuff is about misdirection, traps within traps, feigned retreats, luring enemies to their doom. He is a very cunning commander, and any Imperial forces that face Huron, a lot of them are thinking themselves, okay, well, am I seeing the actual assault, or am I seeing what he wants me to think is the actual assault? It ends up a lot of people second guess themselves facing down Huron because of how his combat style. We should talk about his key lieutenants. Garyon the Corpse Master is one of his key lieutenants. He's the survivor of the Badab War, who is the apothecary, former chief apothecary of the Astroclaws. He's the one who reconstructed Huron's body after the siege of Badab. He's pretty unhinged. He does a lot of
an apothecary that fell to chaos is unhinged.
I know.
Wow.
I know.
I mean, the one unit I really want added to 40K is the World Eaters apothecaries. They still exist. They're just crazy.
Now, one thing I don't know a lot about is this lady on the grav sled. Can you say her name?
I actually forgot her name, and I don't have up the slide at the moment. Okay. I do apologize. I know it's a ship captain. I know it's personal ship captain. So that's my apologies.
No biggie. Face Octopus 4571 says, does he ever delegate the main assault? Because if not, then you can identify the main assault by finding him. Yes, he's aware of the reputation he has, and he will use that. Sometimes he will send, like when he actually captured the Glorieta class battlecruiser McCragg's Honor, which is the flagship of the Ultramarines, took it away from Guilliman. And when he had that ship, he used it under a proxy. He had like one of his other commanders be in charge of that ship while he was on the ship that he knows better, like his battle barge. So when that fleet would show up, everybody would be like, oh, he's clearly on McCragg's Honor. It's the biggest, most dangerous ship. But he wasn't. That's just an example.
Did he do this when Guilliman was alive, or when they were still using?
No, when he was alive. Yeah, took it away from him. Yeah.
Wow, that's so dirty.
I know. Super chat from Necroplayer97. Thank you, sir. Yes, my favorite character for being the poster child for the wonders of being untaxable and this ungovernable. Glory be. You know, there is a lot to admire about here on Blackheart. He is the guy who decided he wasn't going to do taxes anymore, and by golly, he's going to make that everyone's problem.
He's such a badass, though. I love him.
The Red Corsairs have guys called Huntsmasters. These are your specialized commanders that lead large squadrons of Chaos Bikers or other fast attack forces. These are his lieutenants. The Huntsmasters. They answer only to Blackheart, and one of these guys is a guy called Huntsmaster Galveron, Megatron Galveron.
Wait, he literally has a raven wing?
I mean, sort of, yeah.
That's cool.
He apparently Chaos Bikers are a big part of the Corsairs.
Oh, let's hope they get a new kit.
That'd be cool, huh?
Yes.
And he's even created a thing called the Tyrant's Legion. This is a highly trained auxiliary force comprised of defense forces from worlds under his control. Human soldiers who got training. He did this when he was the Tyrant of Badab, so this is pre-chaos. All right. But they were trained by Astroclaws and equipped to a much higher standard than your typical.
So he has Sola Auxilia.
He made elite forces out of his planetary defense forces when he was in charge of Badab, and now that he's in charge of the Red Corsairs, he's got cultists and traitor guardsmen and renegade armsmen, and he's done similar things with them.
That's pretty badass.
So it's not just Astartes. It's not just Chaos Space Marines. It's also humans. It's also aliens. He'll work with just about anybody, including if you notice that he's got two different alien species in his command squad, a Torellian and a Barghese. So he's very open-minded, because even most Chaos Lords don't want to work with aliens.
No, that's the one thing that unites them is the hatred of Xenos.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole book of Imperial Fists and Iron Warriors fighting I think it was Tyranids or Eldar or something, but they united to fight an enemy. And he wouldn't even give a shit. He'd be like, oh, my enemy's being attacked by another enemy? Man, that Gene Seed Vault is looking mighty open right now. Better just help myself to all of these.
So
takes it in a pirate chest.
I mean, basically, yeah, he is a pirate. He's a pirate lord in 40K, and he's a serious pirate lord. This is essentially Blackbeard.
Oh my 40K. God, you're right. That did happen in fucking War of the Beast. Ugh, that book that series keeps getting worse.
I know you're not a fan. I can tell you're not a fan.
The weird thing is, from an orc perspective, makes total sense. An Imperial perspective makes no sense.
So the Red Corsairs started off fleet-based, but once they started conquering the Maelstrom, they turned into territorial rulers with de facto control over an entire region. This is, again, very rare. Not even the Black Legion. I mean, unless you count the Eye of Terror, which I don't think I would. Not even the Black Legion controls an area of space and says, this is mine.
No, they command mostly fleets.
Right. Which is, again, it's interesting. It's a unique achievement for Chaos Lords to do something that he's on the scale that he's done. And because he's got this, they call it the Maelstrom Empire. Because he's got the Maelstrom Empire, he's got a lot of resources. He's got a lot of, essentially local naval supremacy. He's got raiding bases. He's got strategic depth. He is a threat that is significantly different enough from Abaddon to be its own kind of threat, while still being only slightly lesser than Abaddon's threat.
Oh man, if you pit those two against each other, I mean, right? Abaddon would win because he has infinite demons.
Yeah, but I would consider Huron's forces insufficient to directly challenge Abaddon.
Yeah.
The Red Corsairs may number in the tens of thousands, but the Black Legion is bigger and has over 10,000 years of experience. Let's not forget that. Also, Abaddon has his personal blessings from all the Chaos Gods and relationships with demon Primarchs, which those are connections that Huron lacks.
And he also has direct ties to named demons. Like, also we have to factor in he has Kion, who has 64 greater demons under his control. Well, 64 demons under his control, including some greater demons.
So there's definitely underlying tensions between the Black Legion and the Red Corsairs, because Abaddon definitely can see a rival when he can recognize a rival when he sees one. And Abaddon also recognizes ambition when he sees it. That being said, they have cooperated rather than fought. They, especially after the gift of the Blackstone Fortress, I think Abaddon was like, you know what? I'd rather have this guy as a friend than an enemy.
So my whole take on the gift of the Blackstone Fortress was a way of keeping it safe. Like, he was just like, they're not going to take it from him, but I can come back and take it when I need. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's some other interesting connections. The Night Lords. You remember how they teamed up with the Night Lords on Villainous?
On Villainous, yes.
To take for the Gene Seed heist. That is an extremely rare occurrence. In fact, according to Aaron Dembski Bowden's novels, the Night Lords explicitly hate the Red Corsairs. And the feeling appears to be mutual. They will cooperate when it's required, but they are it's a very contentious relationship overall, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to the Night Lords, they hate every Chaos Space Marine.
Well, the deal that he struck with on Villainous was that the Night Lords would get all the armor and the relics and the prisoners. He just wanted the Gene Seed. Like, I just want the Gene Seed. You can have everything else. And the Night Lords were like, cool. Yeah. Dragon Magic 647. Does anyone like the Night Lords?
So they themselves don't even like each other, but they'll team up and reform their legion when it's necessary, which is terrifying of them.
There is a word bearer planet in the Maelstrom. It's called Galmec. It's a demon world. And the word bearers...
It's not called Librarium or something.
So the word bearers, the lack of any... There's not a lot of discussion about this. So my speculation is that the word bearers are competitors for resources, and I don't think I think that Huron generally just doesn't want anything to do with chaos worship. So he's just like, you know what, you guys just stay away from me.
Doesn't he view it as a weakness?
In my head, I'm imagining him looking at the word bearers and saying, don't start none, won't be none.
Yeah. But I always thought, like, because he resists the whispers of chaos and everything, because he himself wants to be as powerful as he can make himself. But he will take advantage of power grabs, like to save his life.
Yes.
So in desperation, he'll do it, but he doesn't normally like to do it. Where Abaddon doesn't need desperation to do it, the Chaos Gods will do it to save him instead. Like, Abaddon is willing to die, which is kind of crazy. But I always viewed him as looking down on chaos worshippers and users. Because he's just like, you guys are getting powerful because of something else versus I'm powerful because of me.
See, that's the difference between him and the Night Lords. The Night Lords look down on it for that reason.
Yeah, I know the Night Lords do.
Huron is just like, it's not my thing.
Okay, fair enough. Because I know the Night Lords only have one Demon Prince. And that's it. So
Alexis, if you were to imagine a traitor legion like the Death Guard or the Emperor's Children, or the World Eaters, what do you think that they think about the Red Corsairs? What do you believe that their outlook would be?
So the Night Lords would hate them because they're Night Lords.
We already talked about that, yeah.
The World Eaters would look at them as a rival, as somebody strong and wanting to fight them because they're frothing berserkers at this point. But they are willing to work with them, I would say. The Death Guard, I feel like the Death Guard would view their fighting style as cowardly and not as enduring as them. Where the Death Guard will stay on a planet and just die by the thousands, but eventually overtake the planet because of their sheer, Death Guardiness. The Red Corsairs will just be like, oh, we lost 10%? Yeah, that's enough. We'll leave.
So the general consensus, again, I'm vastly oversimplifying here, just to be clear, but the general consensus amongst the Traitor Legions is that it falls along two lines. They recognize that the Red Corsairs are an important power in the Maelstrom. They are an important,
makes sense,
influential group. So they make, bad rivals or good allies. But by and large, the veterans of the Long War, which is what you call Traitor Legions that have been around since the heresy, the veterans of the Long War look at the Red Corsairs and they're like, "You Johnny come latelys." They think that Huron, they treat him with some disdain, and they don't actually give him legitimacy. They're like, it's a passing fad. Nobody's going to care about.
It's just a phase, Mom.
Well, yeah, and it's important to point out, Huron and the Red Corsairs have only been around for about 200 years.
Yeah, they grew a lot in those 200 years.
They did. They very much did. And they are the pirates of the Maelstrom. They do rapid raids for material gain. They don't do siege warfare. They hit and fade. They prey upon ships and shipping lanes. They fight, for lack of a better word, they fight smart. They pick fights that they know they can win, and they retreat from ones that they can't.
In fact, we got a super chat about that very question.
Necroplayer 97, thank you, sir. I'm curious, how successful do you think Blackheart is compared to other Chaos Lords in terms of herding the cats that are their forces? Alexis?
So, weirdly enough, he's actually very good at controlling his men. Like, again, I have to compare him to Abaddon, where Abaddon is also really good and charismatic and can control his forces. But, like, a lot of other Chaos forces can't control their war bands. They just unleash them. So I think he's actually pretty good.
I'd say so the novel that I read, the Guy Haley novel about Huron Blackheart, is actually all about him having a rival. This guy that had taken the McCragg's honor and was trying to use that as a bargaining chip to take over from Huron. And it is a lot of Huron placing this guy in positions where he's going to fail, so that Huron can swoop in and save the day and be the chapter master. So yes, Chaos forces do have a lot of cat herding, for lack of a better word, and the Corsairs are no exception to this. But it is not. Huron doesn't have to work super hard to keep his guys in line. He has to make the occasional example. He has to do the occasional scheme. Just like Abaddon, I presume, does.
Yeah.
So I would say he's probably as good or better than most Chaos Lords in controlling their forces.
That's a solid answer.
Dragon Magic 647 asks, what is the leadership hierarchy of the Red Corsairs? Simple. Huron's in charge.
Yeah.
The Hunts Masters are his lieutenants, and they report only to him.
And then he has his command squad, I guess.
Yeah,
we don't know what his command squad's lore is yet. They might not be like in command.
Yeah, to be clear, like the lore we're talking about now is the lore prior to the release of 500 Worlds, which I think is going to feature him a little more. And
it's the next expansion. It's Maelstrom.
So there's going to be there's an upcoming expansion that will include a lot more. We'll revisit this after that's out and talk about what happened then, which may include more interesting things. I don't know.
Or it might retcon his whole lore. You never know at Games Workshop.
It's true. What is his sense? So the Great Rift, Air Indomitus, what's he been up to? Maintaining aggressive raiding, targeting Imperial shipping, isolated outposts, vulnerable systems. Piracy is in its golden age in the Air Indomitus, thanks to the Great Rift. It's easier than ever to prey on ships. So he's doing a lot of piracy stuff. They also are continuing to dominate the Maelstrom. Like if you go anywhere near it, that's where his guys are. And they've been strengthening their position with demonic entities. They've started to. Huron seems to be sliding down that slippery slope towards becoming more and more like Abaddon and being more and more willing to rely on demons and chaos forces.
He's starting to listen to those little voices in the back of his head. Demon Huron when we get Demon Huron in the future, maybe.
It looks like his long-term ambition is to build some kind of empire rivaling the Eye of Terror. And he's basically already done that. So it's just a question of like building it up further.
Could you imagine if the next Black Crusade was literally Abaddon versus Huron Blackheart?
Woo! That would be fun. Chaos Civil War? I'd be there for that.
Chaos Civil War.
I don't think Abaddon would find it easy at all. I think that would be a real struggle, actually.
That would be a real good read, though. Holy shit. I would be so on board for that. Yeah. Then again, I'm also waiting for like a Tau Civil War, but that's just me.
Looks like there's going to be a thing called the Lords of the Maelstrom Battle Force box as part of a thing called the Maelstrom Lair of the Tyrant expansion. And that's going to happen sometime this year. So keep an eye out for it. And we will come back and tell you all about what the lore is in that product.
Yeah.
So what are some problems? What are some things he's facing as an issues in Era Indominus?
Well, Primaris Space Marines.
Certainly.
Do you think he has any Primaris Space Marines yet?
Good question. I would assume we know that some of them have been captured. We know that.
Yeah.
I don't know if any of them have shown up at Red Corsairs yet.
Because there is one guy that's like deceptively close to a Primaris Space Marine, and this one guy right here, like that.
Which one, left or right?
Oh, sorry, I was on the wrong screen. This one.
Okay, the one with the bionic hand.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's deceptively close to it with the backpack and it being covered. Again, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. These models all look like they're in scale with each other, so that would strongly suggest they're firstborns.
That is true. And like some of them, we could definitely tell what armor and everything they're from. Like the pleasure bumps here, the best armor in the galaxy.
You guys should go check out our power armor tier list where we ranked all the power armor of the Imperium.
I found the bumps on the Noise Marines. It's on their leg.
Yep.
Makes me happy.
Yep.
But it wouldn't be a surprise to me if out of all of the Chaos Space Marines to get Primaris Space Marines, it would actually be them.
It makes a lot of sense because they are the ones, again, if you go Renegade as a Space Marine, that's where you go.
And we do know, thanks to Gathering Storm. Thanks to Gathering Storm, that there are Renegade Primaris Space Marine chapters. Granted, the one that we did know about, that we read in the story, was subsequently destroyed by the Custodians. That doesn't mean that all Primaris Space Marines are just strictly loyal now.
And it's Necroplayer 97 actually points out that some chapters they get sent to treat the Primaris poorly. That is true.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Angels kept them out of the inner circle, for example, and treated them with great suspicion. As one example,
for quite a bit.
The Space Wolves also were like, I'm not really sure. You guys were never born on Fenris, so hey, there's COVID. Also, the Red Corsair gene seed stocks suffer a lot of organ rejection due to mutations and flaws. Living in the Maelstrom has deleterious effects. It creates mutations. It creates problems. And the gene seed goes through this as well.
Here's a question for you. Do Space Marines check blood types before they put the organs in?
They have to be compatible before they put them in. So yeah, they check that stuff.
They have to, right?
Dragon Magic 647. So what interactions does Huron have with the Tyrellians? Well, we know that he's got them in his command squad. In the novel, he travels with a large group of them as mercenaries that are on board his ship. So he has a history of working with the Tyrellians, but they are mercenaries. They'll work with just about anybody. And they're not especially fond of the Imperium. So
yeah, considering the Imperium tried to murder all of them. Just a little bit of tactical oopsie daisy,
So Huron also struggles with being perceived as lacking legitimacy. Demon Primarchs, Ancient Chaos Lords, they all look at him as like this upstart, recent converter. A recent convert to chaos is what they kind of consider him to be. And that, unlike Abaddon, who has all those connections and it can call on fealty and bonds of brotherhood from the heresy, he doesn't have that. So he's trying to build his own legend, and he's doing that, but he's doing that largely on his own. He doesn't have the backing of the Death Guard, the Emperor's Children, like Abaddon does.
They're Demon Primarchs or anything.
Exactly. And while the Maelstrom provides a lot of defensive advantages, it is geographically constrained. It means that the Red Corsairs can affect areas around the Maelstrom. They can affect a lot of things in the Ultimate Segmentum, but you pretty much only find them there.
They're not really one for traveling across the galaxy.
They don't go far because the Maelstrom is their home, and the Maelstrom is where their base of power lies. And frankly, Huron is like, I'm not leaving. I spent all this time building it up for me. I'm not leaving.
If only we had some type of large-scale space laser that could throw a black hole in there. This technology does exist in 40K.
And then,
for those of you, I'm joking about the fact that the AdMech, one of their rounds for their Nova cannons can fire a black hole. How it does this is beyond all of us and probably beyond them too. But it opens up a small black hole that sucks in everything and then closes almost instantaneously. But if you pointed that at a planet, it dies.
There's a couple more things I want to go over for Huron as far as things he's got to struggle with. One of which is the coalition of the Red Corsairs. If you have a force that is composed of Space Marines from various different chapters with all their different beliefs and traditions, rivals, I mean, if you have a Dark Angel and a Space Wolf in the same squad, that could be a problem. He's got to deal with all these loyalties. And a lot of these guys that join the Red Corsairs do it because they have no choice. Not because it's not like because they woke up one day and say, hey, I want to be a space pirate. They're like, I can't stand where I am now, and the only place I can go where I can not be killed is with these pirate guys. So there are a lot of Red Corsairs that are not especially, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not exactly true believers. You know what I mean? They're with the Red Corsairs because they have nowhere else to go. So the bonds of loyalty are stronger in the Black Legion than they are for the Red Corsairs. And on top of that, Blackheart, he's just a guy. I mean, he's got a lot of cybernetics, he's got a lot of bionics, he's got a cool demon pet. But unlike Abaddon, who is the chosen of the Chaos Gods, and unlike the Demon Primarchs, if he dies, he's gone. That's it.
Yeah, there's no Chaos clapping his cheeks and bringing him back to life.
So here's a question for you, Alexis. What do you suppose would happen with the Red Corsairs if Huron Blackheart were to get definitively killed in a battle?
It depends how many of his lieutenants are still alive.
Let's say all of them.
All of them. They're all splitting them and fighting each other. Immediately. It is going straight up orc anarchy.
So you're saying the Red Corsairs would just fragment. They turn into, because they are several Chaos Warbands in a trench coat held together by the iron fist of Huron Blackheart. And if that fist were to relax its grip, they'll just scatter.
I wonder if a Death Watch Black Shield were to show up and just be like, hey guys, you could just like be loyal again, right? Just turn your armor black and join them. I think a good chunk would leave. Maybe not, thousands, but if 100 leave, that's still pretty good.
Well, there'd be a significant chunk that would not want to be Chaos Space Marines anymore. Because again,
exactly.
it's the only place they can go. So there'd be a significant chunk of them that would just go somewhere else and maybe hide. Probably on the fringe of the galaxy. Maybe they try to find a open-minded rogue trader, or
There is a funny story back from like I think 5th or 6th edition where a Space Marine, it was a Fallen, took off all of their armor and just pretended to be an Ogryn. And because people have never seen a Space Marine before, because you know they're super rare, they were just like, "Oh yeah, don't mess with that Ogryn. He's really smart and mad."
I want to take a quick moment to tell a fun story from my time as the lead developer of the 40K roleplay games. If you guys are familiar with what black shields are in the lore.
So first off, what are black shields?
Black shields in the lore are Space Marines that have, for whatever reason, chosen to abandon their chapter of heraldry, and they're still loyal to the Imperium. They still fight for the Imperium, but they do so as they've blacked out their chapter armorial, and instead just they're like a black knight, right? They're still a knight. They still fight for the king, but they do it on their own.
The most famous one that I can think of right off the top of my head is Nemeon, or as he's more better known, Captain Titus,
right?
Or Lieutenant Titus at the time.
When he served with the Death Watch, he did so as a black shield. Black shields were introduced in the Death Watch role-playing game because of the Astral Claws. I was reading the Badab War books. Go ahead.
This I just absolutely love because the black shields were also added to Horus Heresy after this.
It's true. It's one of the biggest examples of something making the jump from a third-party project into the main lore of 40K. So we were working on the Death Watch role-playing game, and I was reading these books about the Badab War, and this thought entered my head, and I was like, wait a minute, what happens if you're an Astral Claw serving with the Death Watch when all of this goes down? And you're off somewhere else in the galaxy, probably isolated, and you come back to the watchtower one day, and they're like, hey, your whole chapter's been declared excommunicate Tritoris, and they've left. They're gone. And you're like, well, shit, now what do I do, right? Because you can't go back to your whole chapter if it's gone. And I contacted Andy Hoare, Hoare, Hoare pronounced.
Yeah, not the one you find in a back alley.
Right. And Andy's a great guy, and he wrote so many words for the role-playing game. Like the majority, like if you count up the amount of material he wrote for the role-playing game, it's huge. And I called him up, and we chatted about it, and he was like, oh, well, they probably, and that's where he came up with the idea for the black shields. He's like, so what they would do is they would black out their armorial, and they continue to serve with the Death Watch, because that's a way to continue honoring your oaths as a Space Marine without having to revert back to your chapter. And so the black shields became a thing in the Death Watch role-playing game, and then eventually became a thing for the Horus Heresy, and now they're a major part of the setting. And I wanted you guys all to hear about this because it came from Huron, Blackheart, and the Badab War. That's where it first started. It's just a fun little story I like to tell. Anyways, so Blackheart is one hell of a Chaos Lord. He managed to dominate the entire Maelstrom, turn it into his own personal territory, his own personal empire. He built the Red Corsairs to legion strength, tens of thousands of guys, built the largest pirate fleet in the Eastern Imperium, got a Blackstone fortress, raided a first founding chapter homeworld, captured and tortured a chapter master, and destroyed and heisted an entire chapter's stock
all
of
in
GT.
200 years.
Yeah, that's an amazing set of accomplishments.
He accomplished more than most characters will in their entire existence.
It's very likely that the Red Corsairs will remain a major Chaos faction for the foreseeable future in 40K, because they are just frankly cool.
Yeah, they really are.
They're rad as hell. Do we have any more pictures we can show of the models for?
Unfortunately, that is really it for now.
What about, do we have artwork for Huron?
Oh, we do. 1 second. I got to do this one-handed because my other hand is holding up Kovu's butt because he is too big to fit on my lap.
Oh, no, not Kovu's butt. Poor kitty. Is he purring? I can actually hear him.
Yes, he is.
Oh my
goodness. He's just chilling right here.
That's a loud ass purr.
Yeah, he is very loud. I apologize.
I mean, nothing wrong with that. I like thunder purrs. All right, so this is one of the most recent pictures of Huron Blackheart, and this is in fact the command squad that we see, if I'm not mistaken. There's that Chaos Sorcerer right there.
And there's a guy with 2 whips that's just having the time of his life. He's not doing very much, but he's spooky, I guess.
There were in the Heresy, there were guys that had whips that were actually in charge of the mortal forces, the
militias,
Astra Militarum and militias, yeah. And I forget what they were called, but they had their own thing. Overseers. They were called overseers. That's right. So maybe that's a former Legion overseer from the Heresy era. I've got some more art I can show if you'd like.
Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
All right.
I'll remove this. Boop. And then there we go.
All right, so this is one of the first images of Huron Blackheart that we know of.
God, looks so like late 80s, early 90s comic book art.
Yeah, I forget the name of the artist, but he did a whole bunch of stuff for Inferno and the original comics back in the day.
It's all amazing.
Any of you lore seekers remember this guy's name? I'd love to see it because he was a very cool dude. I just can't remember his name right off the top of my head. This is Jesus, that's tiny. That's from early 2000s picture there by the same artist, I believe.
And look, he's got his familiar in that one.
Well, actually, he's got his familiars right there, the purple guy.
Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that one's more like a dragon thingy.
Well, remember, it never looks the same twice.
Yeah, it does shapeshift.
The Hamadryad does not look the same twice. So this is another image. I think this is from a book cover. This might be the Gildar Rift, actually.
Does he have his little buddy?
I do not see the Hamadryad. I just see the axe and the power.
Terrible artwork. He doesn't have his pet with him.
It's not amazing. I think this is a Clint Langley.
I actually really do like that artwork because it's what drew me to like 40K is this style of artwork.
And then there's this is a Kapinski.
He's so happy there.
This is actually my favorite piece of Huron Blackheart because he looks like he's exulting in victory, and it actually mirrors, of course, the infamous Abaddon holding the burning World of Cadia picture of the cover of the 13th Black Crusade from the 2003-2004 era. The time that whole event that never actually happened.
Yeah, the Armageddon. No, that wasn't Armageddon. The campaign event.
Wayne England. Thank you, Lore Seers. Wayne England is that guy I was thinking of. Wayne England is this artist. That's Wayne England. Very good. Thank you for that. David Gallagher is probably one of the, I imagine that's probably that one is David Gallagher. Thank you, Jake Wu 8268 and Gonsalvo Vicente. Thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate you. That is the artwork of Huron, which again, my favorite piece is that one. Big fan. There's his little buddy right by his leg. You see it?
Yeah, I do.
Awesome.
Back in the day, this guy, like his tabletop rules were crazy because in earlier editions of Warhammer 40K, you could choose which weapon you wanted to use with him. And if you had 2 specialist weapons, like he does, you got additional attacks. So he would have a crazy number of attacks for a Chaos Lord. And you could either go last with the Power Fist or you could go first with his axe. And his axe was no joke either. It was really good. In 9th edition, he could split his attacks depending on which weapon attacks he wants to use. So he could put like 3 into the claw and then the rest into the axe. And then in later editions, he was unfortunately removed or moved to Legends. And now he's coming back. So we don't know his current rules. Well, I don't know his current rules yet. He might have rules that are in the thingy, but mine is locked currently. So yeah. I can check. Does Blackheart have rules in current edition? He probably has rules in Legends.
Do you have any questions at this point about Huron Blackheart, Red Corsairs, Astral Claws, Badab War?
Boy, he does have. Oh, it is locked, unfortunately, but he does have rules for 10th edition. That's neat. I didn't think he did.
I was asking if you have any questions about Huron or the Corsairs or the Ulster Claws or the Badab War, because we have basically reached the end of that story. And for
All
now,
right.
for now.
So why not talk about some of the crazy battles that the Red Corsairs have been in?
Okay, pick one.
Oh God! So what was their first as the Red Corsairs?
Okay, so my understanding, the first one would be them. Double check here. Here we go. I believe that was their raid on Villamus. I could be wrong about that.
How many attacks does he have?
I'd have to investigate that a little more closely to find out the first one.
Oh, his weapon is actually kind of garbage in 10th edition.
Oh, here's a great question from Hawk. What are some of your predictions or hopes for Huron's story?
Oh my God. Okay, so we do know that he's fighting a named Corsair, which is crazy. He's also fighting Prince Uriel. So I think his target is Prince Uriel. How crazy would it be if he kidnapped Prince Uriel?
Corsair on Corsair action?
Yeah, a little bit of, piracy is kind of cool. I love that idea. I'm hoping this leads to Chaos Bikers getting a new update because they need it really badly. I want to see some more. I want to see more lore about Huron going toe to toe with the Corsairs. Like, what is his reasons for going after them? Or what are the reasons for the Eldar to go after him? We see that he's covered in spirit stones. So clearly he's probably wearing them to antagonize the Eldar into fighting him.
It seems like they're setting up a big conflict between the Red Corsairs and the Eldar, which might include the Eldar Corsairs who just got new models.
Yep. Also, I'm giving Kovu tummy rubs.
But for me, I would love to see that thing that you were talking about earlier, Alexis. I would love to see a civil war. I'd love to see him and Abaddon decide.
Right.
There's only room in this galaxy for one of them and go after each other.
Or, hear me out, since the rumors are Perturabo is coming back, what if Perturabo is just like, you're doing this war wrong? And Purdy is going to be one for short sentences. Just be like, no, this plan sucks. Huron would be pissed at that.
He's anti-authoritarian. If Perturabo tries to boss him around, tell him what to do, he's not going to be happy.
So a fight between those two would be nice. Although I don't think he's going to be fighting Huron Blackheart, unfortunately. Because GW is too scared to do chaos on chaos violence.
Well, chaos is a great antagonist, which is one of the reasons why 40K is as popular as it is, because they have great antagonists, including chaos. But antagonists fighting themselves is rarely as compelling as antagonists fighting the protagonists. So
exactly. That it is unfortunate. Although it would be cool if he crashed into an Orc Wa again.
Sebastian Mueller 7013 asks, do you think Huron Blackheart will be Total War Warhammer 40K as a Chaos DLC? Very likely.
Yeah, I could definitely see him as one of the most anticipated characters in that.
And we have a question. We have a super chat. Hi, Queen Jen. Hey, thank you. First time. Appreciate it.
Oh, hi, Queen Jen.
Picked up my first non-fantasy book, she says. Dropsite Massacre. My fandom for the Grim Darkness of the Far Future started with your appearance on Lorebeards. Oh, thank you. Appreciate you.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's great to hear. I think were you on one where they talked about the Dropsite Massacre? Because I think that would have been me.
I think that one's you.
Okay.
I just appeared on a couple of them just talking about random stuff.
So some popular fan theories and headcanon about Huron Blackheart. One of the most popular fan theories is that Huron is actively trying not to be a demon prince.
I constantly hear this about like Abaddon and everybody where it's like, oh, of course they don't want to be demon. But demon princehood is something that you have to do something for.
Well, there's a novel called Tyrant of the Hollow Worlds. And in that novel, Huron kind of leads an invasion just specifically to avoid being ascended. So maybe.
All right, fair enough.
Again, it's a novel, so but if you had to be a Chaos Space Marine in the 41st millennium, which, you know, God forbid you ever had to do, but if you did, I imagine the path to Demon Princehood would actually be. I know I personally would follow Huron's example and be like, no thanks, not for me, because
same.
Because the odds of success are low and the penalties for failure are high because you become a chaos spawn.
Not only that, even if you die, your soul is put into like the chaos realm itself and tortured forever. Like, unless you are a powerful person, you are not doing well with demons.
It's also parallel with Abaddon, who also doesn't want to be a demon prince and goes to great lengths to do that.
Him ascending to a demon of undivided would be really cool.
Yeah, Micah points out that being a demon prince would give you immortality, but you're a slave forever, and Huron doesn't like being a slave.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, could you imagine if he tried to assault the Chaos Worlds?
Well, one of the other fan theories is that Huron could eventually replace Abaddon.
I could see that, but I think it's going to be okay. So this is my whole thing. It's going to be the young pupil trying to fight the master, and the master is going to be Abaddon, and Abaddon is just going to kill him and then absorb the Red Corsairs because Abaddon's probably using them to get more members.
Well, if you can't replace Abaddon, the fan theory seems to be that they will have that conflict between them is inevitable. So there's that.
I can see Huron Blackheart, as cool as he is, dying to Abaddon.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that Abaddon just has so many more advantages over Huron. He's a veteran of the Long War. He's got all the chaos gifts. He's got all the demons. He's got all the original traitor legions.
You're forgetting one thing. His armor is made out of platinium.
That too.
Like when you stab him through both his hearts and his spinal cord, and he still doesn't die, you know.
Jake Wu 8268 says, didn't the Red Corsairs attack the White Scars home system at one point? Yes, we talked about that earlier. They successfully raided Chigoris, kidnapped the chapter master Jubal Khan, tortured him for weeks to the point where he could no longer be chapter master. That's a big deal. It was a pretty major win for the Red Corsairs.
I feel so bad for the White Scars because, like, the most notable things I know them for are losing to the Tau and now losing to this.
Well, similar to the Dark Angels, roughly half their legion wanted to join Horus during the heresy.
Yeah.
And it was fortunately the Khan nipped that shit in the bud. Unlike the Lion, who was not around, the Khan was around, and he was like, "Oh yeah, let's not do that."
Except those two members that attacked Garrow and learned real quick you don't fuck with Garrow.
Well, remember, every legion in the heresy had
they all had traitors.
So yeah, but according to the lore, the White Scars, nearly half the legion was like, let's go with Horus.
Yeah, I mean, hell, even Garrow was a traitor.
No,
yeah,
Garrow,
he betrayed his Primarch.
Okay, if you use that definition, then yes, but
yeah, he was exactly.
Garrow was never a traitor to the Imperium, and he was never. And you could argue he was never a traitor to his legion in that, you know, he embodies the best aspects of the original Death Guard. You could argue that. Oh, poor Kovu. It's getting nose booped. So here's a question for you, Alexis. The Hamadryah.
Yep.
Is it a spy? Is it a soul fragment? Is it some sort of symbiote? What is it?
So I think it's just a chaos familiar. I think very similar to Warhammer Fantasy, it is a chaos familiar, but I think somebody is using it to watch him.
Go ahead.
I think it's not Magnus. Magnus doesn't care. But I could see one of the greater demons of Tzeentch taking a special interest in him and wanting to see how he's reacting to certain things and certain plans. And the little beast thingy is there to make it so that he follows a certain path.
There's a fan theory that says that the Hamadryah is There's a fan theory that says the Hamadryah is a demon of Tzeentch.
Yeah, I could see it.
And it is manipulating Huron to do things that Tzeentch finds pleasing. And the reason why the fan theory is that it's a Tzeentch demon is because it explicitly gives Huron the ability to use psychic powers.
Yeah, like if it was a demon of Bellicor, or Vashtor doesn't have any demons as of yet, which is kind of weird. He has demon engines, but not demons as of yet. Bellicor doesn't care. It's simply beneath him to care about Huron Blackheart. Abaddon may be making a deal with a Tzeentchian demon to watch him. Makes a lot of sense. Maybe that demon is tied to the Blackstone Fortress in some way that he gave him. Maybe he's trying to boost that demon's strength to take over the Blackstone Fortress.
So there's a couple of pieces of lore that support the idea that it could be a Tzeentch demon. Number one is that the Hamadryah's appearance changes and is never the same, which is a very common thing for Tzeentchian demons. There in Warhammer Fantasy, there's the guy called the Changeling, who is basically this, except he's a guy with his own, he's a leader, not a follower. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There's also Tzeentch manipulated the Thousand Sons through what are called tutelaries back in the Horus Heresy era, which were demon familiars that helped them with their psychic abilities. So Tzeentch has some very explicit aspects that align with this theory. It makes a hell of a lot of sense to me. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I could see it being Tzeentch. I can't see it being Slaanesh. Slaanesh doesn't care. And I can't see it being like Nurgle.
One of the other fan theories is that the Hamadryah is a fragment of Huron's own soul that was separated from him when he made the deal with Chaos in the first place. And his own soul is now given a semi-independent existence as is familiar to keep an eye on him. I don't know.
I mean, that goes with the whole thing of being sharded in 40K.
Yeah, which is a common thing.
It's a very common thing for some reason. My soul, it's broken.
I don't like this because go ahead.
It feels too like, nah, I don't know what it is. I don't like it. I think it's because like, then it would be more proactive in trying to help him. And it's not really proactive. It's kind of there. It's vibing.
The one thing, there is a thematic element that is kind of interesting about this, and that's the idea that if Huron is fundamentally diminished by his pact with Chaos rather than empowered, and that despite his surface level success, the Hamadryah is kind of representing what he lost, his integrity, his wholeness as a person. But that feels a little, I hate to say this, it feels a little advanced as a theme for 40K because they don't typically go that subtle.
It does.
I love 40K, but it's not really subtle.
No.
Nuance is something you find for yourself. It's not often in the text. So
yeah.
It's an interesting theory though. The last one is that the Hamadryah might be some sort of symbiotic warp entity, kind of like the Venom suit was for Spider-Man, where
I could see that
powers him but also feeds on him.
I can see that.
There could be a category of some warp entity that requires a mortal host but grants genuine power in exchange. It's possible. It's transactional, right? Like that. That feels accurate, but it also feels too good a deal for Chaos.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I think I like the idea that it's a demon trying to boost its own power. Like, I don't know. I like the idea because it reminds me of oh my god, I just drew a blank on his name. Abaddon's second in command, Psyker, Thousand Sun.
Iskandar?
Yeah, Kion.
Iskandar Kion. Yeah.
It reminds me of like Kion's deal with demons, where he traps them, versus like this thing kind of just following him around.
There was old lore about the Badab War that suggested that it centered on the tiger claws instead of the astral claws. And it suggested that it described Huron as a shapeshifter that had been subjected to alien domination, which clearly that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Yeah, that comes from a 1998 Warhammer 40,000 compendium, FYI.
Yeah, no.
So it's old theory.
That is some ancient lore we're talking about.
There is some stuff with Prince Uriel, but before we get to there's one last thing a couple more last things I want to ask you. First of all, we don't know who is the origin of the Astral Claws gene seed. So who do you think the gene seed is from?
So he's smart. I mean, the obvious answer is Ultramarines.
Ultramarines are it's certainly very likely.
Because like 2/3 of chapters are just Ultramarines. But if I had to pick one, God, I think it is just Ultramarines. But yeah, what is
Hooligan Mulligan says, bring back the true host, Kovu, or we riot.
But he's currently sleeping in his thing that is too small for him.
His cat tree?
Yeah, because you can see him just piling out of it.
Yeah, he's a cutie. Yeah, so the theories are that it might be the Sons of Horus as his gene seed.
Okay.
Which might explain why Abaddon is unusually generous. Ultramarines, just for statistical probability, and the fact that Huron is a pretty damn good administrator.
Yeah.
And possibly Dark Angels, because they have similar temperament and warfare styles, but I don't think so.
They don't feel Dark Angel-y.
They don't feel that way. So here's the last.
Dark Angels are way too stubborn. That's kind of like built into all of their successors too.
All right, so now let's talk about him and Prince Uriel. Huron's newly revealed model has a lot of Eldar Spirit Stones displayed as trophies, and they represent captured Eldari souls. Remember, because Soul Stones capture the soul of an Eldar when they die. So this is literally the most precious possible trophies from an Eldar perspective. Their capture would be seen as an unforgivable atrocity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Eldar. So some people speculate that these trophies might be from some specific engagement, possibly foreshadowing or referencing past conflicts with Eldar Corsair fleets that operate in and around the Maelstrom. And we know that he's going to be dealing with Uriel in some kind of, that they may have had some kind of previous duel in the past. And maybe those trophies, maybe the trophies on Huron's model represent that encounter.
Oh, I do like that.
The more interesting idea is that Uriel is trying to set up a pirate empire of his own. And we have two pirate empires clashing, which that's pretty rad.
Oh my God, this is a good comment.
Huron has a claw. Abaddon has a claw. Horus had a claw. It's true. They all have claws. The Tyrant's claw, the talon of Horus. Yeah.
I can definitely see Prince Uriel trying to get back the soul stones that are clearly stolen by the by all of the Chaos Space Marines in this case. But setting up his own pirate empire, he probably has one. Like, he doesn't really need to set one up. It's just that he doesn't have enough Eldar under his control, like, to form a proper empire. Like, even if he has like a few hundred, it's way too many for elves, you know?
Typically Eldar do not build empires.
No, they have like a little setup and that's it.
So it's a cool idea though. I love the concept of it. I don't know if that's actually the truth. here's some interesting stuff about the Red Corsairs
Okay.
from fan theories and headcanon. They're clearly a defector magnet. They are a place where he's attracted extraordinary numbers of renegades. How and why? Well, Huron offers a practical proposition rather than just 10,000 years of vengeance. He offers power, freedom, and success right here, right now, rather than getting your revenge at some nebulous point in the future. He also has a very results-oriented leadership style that would appeal to strict codex-compliant chapters.
Yeah.
For example.
That all makes sense.
And if you don't want to become a screaming demon worshiper, but you're chafing under imperial restriction, the Red Corsairs give you that outlet. It's also a lot more easier to get to the Maelstrom than their Eye of Terror.
That is also very true, because there's Acadia. Well, there was Acadia in front of the other one.
And lastly, Huron demonstrably succeeds where other Chaos Lords fail.
That is also very true.
He's built a functional empire. His raids are successful. He has not dissolved into Chaos Spawn or been enslaved by a greater demon. He is the viable path for renegades who do not want that option.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, simple victor. His KD speaks for itself.
Right? Absolutely.
Also, taking down the White Scars chapter master is huge.
From their home world. Not even like literally picked him off the planet. Like just
And that was JubalCon, right?
JubalCon, that's right. Yeah.
That's Corsaro Khan came after.
Yeah. Corsaro Khan rescued him from the ship.
Do you think he had the head of Doom Rider at that time, or was it after?
I don't know.
Because one of the heads on Corsaro Khan's original model was Doom Rider's head. And Doom Rider's head still speaks to him.
I need to go check that model out again.
So cool.
So here's the final question about Huron Blackheart, and I think this is one I'd really like you to think about and give you a solid answer.
I can think.
Is Huron Blackheart an opportunistic asshole, a tragic hero, or a justified rebel?
Hear me out. He's a justified asshole.
He has legitimate grievances. I think that's fair to say.
His grievances, absolutely correct. He went to Terra. He tried to do he did everything correctly, and they screwed him over. He got mad, okay? And instead of he did what he had to do. But when he attacked the Imperium first, essentially, it started becoming a problem. I think that he got in way over his head and doesn't know how to stop. So he's just like, everyone around him just sees him doing these great things, and he's just like, crap, what do I do now? No, but I do think that he was justified at first, and now he's not.
So what's interesting is the actions he took as the Tyrant of Badab. They're not out of line with other Imperial commanders who have exercised extrajudicial authority.
Yes.
Marnius Caligar at Vigilus, one example. The Space Wolves and the Grey Knights at Armageddon.
Yep.
There have been times where this has happened and has been perfectly fine, because those guys were on the good side of the Lords of Terra, and Huron just happened to not be on the good sides of the Lords of Terra. However, you have pointed out sufficiently to my belief that Huron was acting less in good faith and more in his own ambition in all of those cases. The good faith was the excuse rather than the impetus, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like when he got the order that one of his fleets was going to, leave, he should have at that point left with all 4 fleets instead of staying and then calling for reinforcements.
That's true. There's also, you can talk about the Imperium's bureaucratic dysfunction
Yeah, it is 1000% on the fault of the Imperium for that.
You can argue that the Imperium forced him into rebellion.
Yes.
If they had acted in good faith at any point, it's worth noting the Imperium, while it is the protagonist of 40K, is not a good guy.
They are evil at the end of the day.
There's no good guys in 40K, and the Imperium is the most brutal and oppressive regime ever imagined.
Yeah,
that I could think of. It's strongly implied that even if Huron had complied with everything the Imperium wanted him to do, it wouldn't have saved him. Because you remember they only got involved after he stopped paying his taxes, his tithes of gene seed, his tithes to the planetary resources, and interfered with Chartist captains doing interstellar trade. That's when they got involved. So if administrative protocol isn't going to help you, and just doing your job isn't going to help you, I mean,
yeah, you're kind of forced into a box at that point. Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
There's a lot of go ahead.
He was facing extinction. Like, he was losing at the point where he decided to do all of his evil shit. Like, he was completely justified in doing what he needed to do.
There were multiple institutions that had vested interests in taking Huron down, regardless of his actual guilt or innocence.
Yeah.
But here's to me, the most interesting thing about Huron's fall is that investigative fleet. And being destroyed under mysterious circumstances. It's heavily implied that Huron just straight up destroyed them because they weren't interested in talking. But there's a possibility that was a false flag operation. There's a possibility that was a Tzeentch manipulated event. There's possibilities that the Eldar could have been involved.
Yeah.
There's a lot of manipulators, puppet masters out there that could have engineered this whole thing.
It was Eldrad again.
This doesn't feel like Eldrad, though.
I will be right back.
Okay, I'll hold the fort while she's taken off. Yeah, there's a lot of things that could have come together to force Huron into becoming a rebel. I don't think you can absolve him of responsibility for that, but I think you can look at it and wonder if there aren't deeper connections to manipulative forces like Eldari Farseers or Tzeentch, or even a group like the Cabal could have been involved. Although they were supposedly destroyed by Eldrad during the heresy, they were or even the Alpha Legion could have manipulated this kind of thing. There are a lot of puppet masters in 40K that could have decided that this was a thing that needed to happen. So one of the questions that is when, at what point did Huron cease being Luft Huron and start being Huron Blackheart?
When his commanders couldn't pronounce his name anymore.
Certainly before the melt-a-gun blast to the face. I think we have to agree with that. Probably, I mean, when he got the melt-a-blast to the face is when he finally said, I'm done with the Imperium, I'm going to Chaos. But that, you could argue that decision was already being made over time. You can look at the absorption of the Tiger Claws into the main chapter and say, okay, that's when you stepped away from the Codex mentality, like we're no longer Codex compliant. You could say early on in the Badab War when he just refused to back down, even when it was obvious that the Imperium was against him. It's open. It's an open question of, did it happen all at once or was it gradual?
I do feel that he is a victim of circumstances, but at the same time, the circumstances he could have avoided, but they were becoming unavoidable by the time that he made a decision.
Here's the really, really fun thing about Huron. The Primarchs, their stories are fixed. Abaddon is the ultimate chaos antagonist. So his space is constrained as to what you can do with Abaddon. Huron is a uniquely ambiguous force in 40K. He gives you that interpretive space as a guy who engages with the lore and say, oh, Abaddon, or sorry, Huron could be involved here where Abaddon couldn't.
Yeah.
Or wouldn't be involved.
Also, he can do literally anything because he's a master of like the unorthodox strategies. He can use spy networks. He can use tank warfare. He can use drop pod assault. He can counter drop pod assault because he knows how it works.
And he's also unique in that he's maintaining independence from the Chaos Gods and the Imperium. And
potentially other Chaos factions.
Well, he's built his own, and he did it with blackjack and hookers. He made the second largest chaos force in under 200 years, as we pointed out multiple times. Dude is a hell of an empire builder. I personally believe he is of Ultramarine stock, because that is exactly what Ultramarines are for.
Yeah, that is what Ultramarines do. They build empires.
So do we have models to look at today?
Yes, we do. We have quite a few and some really cool terrain.
All right. While she's bringing that up, I will just say that is essentially the end of the Huron Blackheart story for now. The Maelstrom book will be coming out. We will be revisiting this. But if you guys are curious and you want to know more, be sure to drop us a line on the Discord. Hawk, if you do me a favor and throw a link to the Discord in the chat for people. We have a great active Discord where you can come join the Lore Seekers community. That's our fans. And we have a lot of active conversations there about all things 40K and fantasy and Age of Sigmar. So come join us.
It's a lot of fun. All right, so let's take a look at some models. If you look carefully, there's a toe. In the other picture, there were feet, so I decided to go with this picture.
Where's the toe? I'm missing it.
You can see it if you look carefully.
Oh, there it is. It's the very bottom. Okay. Yeah. Is this your tape? This is not
me. This is by Hellflare. They are in the Discord or in here as a different name. I do always forget their name here because
we looked at the guy with the eye for a head last week.
Yes, he is there.
Yeah.
But now you can see other warband members. So we got a Devastator squad in the background, though the picture isn't the best. We can still see a Warpsmith, a missile launcher, a las cannon. One that I appreciate is a World Eater with a heavy bolter, because that reminds me of the character from Aaron Dansky-Bowden's book. I can't remember his name right now, but he's the other one of the guys that's in the book, and he's super cool, and I love him. And then an autocannon wielding Iron Warrior, which again I appreciate because Iron Warriors and autocannons go really well. I meant to say autocannon, my bad. But this is a Reaper autocannon, so it's a double-barreled autocannon that's really cool and would not work practically. But, 40K doesn't care about practicality. And then the Warpsmith.
From this distance, they look fine. I think the World Eater might be the best. Like, that color is exact for that particular group.
Yeah.
The Iron Warrior, I'd like to get a closer look. I'd love to get a closer look at any of these guys, but I think they all look good. I love the guy with the eye for head. We already talked about him last week, but
yes,
in this picture, I think the winner is the World Eater.
The World Eater, yeah, easily. And then we have from them again. This is their Inquisitor characters from the Inquisitor tabletop game.
Huh.
And this is, let's see if they left a message with this. The Inquisitor from our TTRPG campaign in his Autoxenos tech power armor.
Oh, this is Ricky Chapman.
Yeah, this is Ricky Chapman.
Okay.
They're both from Ricky Chapman.
Cool. Thank you, Ricky.
We saw your toe.
We have seen your toe. Oh, look at that Xenos shield. That's really cool.
I do really like this. I want more of this kind of stuff in the RPGs where you can get all the crazy armor and attach everything to you and everything. Because one of the things that's very rarely used is MIUs in the books, like the novels forget that MIUs exist. And I really want more of that stuff.
Yeah, he's got two Predator guns on his shoulders up there. They're not called Predator guns. They're just like the gun from the movie Predator in that it's shoulder mounted. But yeah, they're controlled by, usually those are controlled by MIUs.
Yeah.
That's really neat. I dig it. I like the base, of course. You knew I was going to say it. It's very, very decorative and outstanding.
The one thing I want to point out about this, they are all based.
They are.
So I really like this miniature. Yeah, it just looks good. A bit busy, but it's good busy.
Face Octopus 4571 asks, what is MIU? It's an acronym that stands for Mind Impulse Unit. It's essentially a cable that connects your brain to a piece of tech and lets you control that piece of tech with your brain.
Or it could be wireless as well. It really depends, but yeah.
Yeah. Most 40K has wires, though.
Yes, because 40K freaking loves cables for no reason.
Well, it's just part of their technology aesthetic.
Yeah, it is just aesthetic at this point. Then we got Rock, who posted his Dreadsorian. I want one of these really
That is a heck of a Dreadsorian. Oh my god, look at that thing.
Yeah, you can see the layer of dust on the Marine there.
Yeah, unfortunately that light's really not kind to the dust. But the Space Marine's there for scale, I think.
Yeah, banana for scale.
Look at that thing. That's rad.
Is really good.
That looks quite good. Yeah.
Yeah. I also like the paint scheme on it, and the paint scheme on the dinosaur itself actually looks like they painted the dinosaur, which is a very hard look to do.
This is yeah, it would be so easy to just make the dinosaur green. Yeah. And to just make that the collar and the side plating gold, right? Mm-hmm. That there is an easy answer here, and this guy did not take the easy route, and I admire that.
No, I really like this. And then we get it from the other side as well.
Yeah.
And it looks super cool. This is just amazing. I really like this.
Nice work.
And then we got...
Hey, it's Abaddon. Abadabadubadon.
Yabadabadon. Let me actually zoom in this. There we go.
Look at him. That's a nice paint job there.
I like the activation of the power weapons. Well, in this case, demon weapons. Well, the sword is Dracnian is demon, but yeah. This is done by Wendigo 800. Wendigo 800, sorry, Wendigo. My brain just went completely somewhere else.
That's very good.
He is a very grumpy Abaddon. Look at that face. Where is it?
Yeah.
Wait, it's grumpy. Like an old 80s cartoon when they
you zoomed in on the Stormbolter. I'm sorry, you zoomed in on the combi bolter. Now I have to say the thing.
You can't say the thing.
Drill out your barrels.
The base is done. You can't say that.
No, I can say drill out your barrels.
But yeah, I really like this Marine. I like that Marine. He's dead.
Hawk asks this question. He says, have either of us looked into the StarCraft miniature game coming out soon? I have not.
I have. It looks really good. I want to check what country is making the miniatures, because I'm very particular on supporting like games that are made in country instead of like where Marvel Crisis Protocol. The only reason I don't support that game is because it charges as much as Warhammer miniatures for things that they print in China. And it's like, hey, this cost us less than a nickel. And it's like, yeah, I'm not paying $1 bazillion for it. So games can price me out depending on things like that. This model looks just incredible. Look at this. Look how good this is.
It's a good paint job.
This is good.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, and the next one, that's his back.
Nice. Hey, thank you for guys. If you want us to look at both sides of the model, do take pictures on both sides, because we can only judge what we see. But yeah, that's a nice back on Abaddon. Yeah. Good work on the cloak.
Let me zoom out again.
We are so zoomed in right now. Terrain.
So, this is Terrain again, made by him.
By Wendigo?
And yes. And there's one more thing after this, but I really, really like this because it's popsicle terrain. It's not exactly popsicle terrain, but this kind of terrain is so underutilized and it looks so good for the new Hobbit game. If you guys have never played the Lord of the Rings games from Games Workshop, they're actually all incredible. All of them have been good.
Battles of Middle Earth is a good game. You should play it. It's pretty cool. It looks like see, this is something you can do pretty easily with like a few scraps of carpet and some wood, and it looks fine. Like that is.
It looks really good.
Terrain doesn't need to look amazing. It just needs to look fine, and that looks fine. That's a very good piece of terrain. Functional.
Yeah, and then they posted one more image, and I really like this.
Speaking of Battles in Middle Earth, check
yeah,
it's Saruman and Wormtongue. Look at that.
But look at the background.
Oh, using the map. That's
yeah.
Smart.
This
smart.
looks insanely good. You did an amazing job.
Is this one to go?
Yeah.
Bro, those models look sick.
Yeah,
check out the detail on Saruman's robe. Just look at the detail on that robe. My goodness.
But he didn't drill out his barrels.
Oh, shut up.
It would be really funny if there was a barrel somewhere in the terrain that I could say that to.
Well, go look at that Palantir and tell me what you think.
Which one's the Palantir?
It's the little stone on top of the rock. For Saruman.
Am I blind?
Saruman.
Oh, yeah. That looks crazy good.
That is the Palantir, and it looks right out of the movie.
Yeah, that's so good.
That's paint. I don't believe that's I don't think it's sculpted that way.
No, I think you paint it.
Dude, I am impressed. That looks you can paint my Lord of the Rings stuff anytime. Yeah. That looks
and
really
that is it for this week for the miniatures. There weren't that many. I'm hoping to put Abaddon, or not Abaddon, Titus and his company once I finish this kit. But I had to build and paint Titus for tomorrow. So I am ready for this tournament tomorrow. I'm bringing Ultramarines, and my list is kind of cracked. And I can't wait for it. And I'm bringing my favorite little unit, my go-karts, the little ATVs.
I don't like those guys.
They're so good.
If you say so. I don't like the way they look.
60 points for 8 wounds.
Okay,
that's look as dumb as they want.
That's a good deal. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
There are a couple of things I'd like to bring up about future Lorebeard stuff. We have a community poll for our February 21st show, which is coming up next month. And there's 3 options, so make sure you go vote on what our topic's going to be for that episode. And I am also threatening to start a streaming game on the Lorebeards channel. You can go vote to see if I'm playing Total War Warhammer 3 as a Lithanar, or if I'm playing Rogue Trader as a Rogue Trader, or if I'm playing Chaos Gate Demon Hunters as the Grey Knights.
Don't play the third one. Play the second one.
Well, I wanted 3 options, so I put the 3 options out there.
Heck yeah.
Go check out all those. Micah says right now the Eldar Corsairs are winning the poll for what we're going to do, which is very fitting for today's episode.
Yeah.
Eldar,
there's not too much lore about the Corsairs at this moment.
No, there's not. There's not, and that's what's exciting.
Yeah.
They are building out a faction that has had very little said about them, and that's really, really, really cool. So in the upcoming Maelstrom event between Iriel and Huron, which side are you on, Alexis?
I want to side with Space Elves. But at the same time, Uriel is not really a cool character for the elves. If it was hands down, I would be voting for the Eldar. If it was Fugan or Mungden Ra, I would be voting for them. But we don't know anything really about Prince Uriel, except that he's kind of an asshole.
That is his defining feature at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm interested. I'm here for it. I got paint on my hand. Gotta point that out. It's not a bruise. It's paint.
Gun to your head. Who wins that fight?
Who wins the fight between an Eldar Corsair, Prince Uriel, versus a space pirate, Huron Blackheart?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Micah points out that Huron is a named Space Marine and therefore is going to win.
So I want to say the Space Marine, but it's Eldar. It's a non-blessed Space Marine. That's the problem. Like, he doesn't have, like, he's not an Ultramarine. He's not like Titus, so he's not going to win on that. He's cool, but he's replaceable, is my problem with him. Prince Uriel, you can't really replace. But at the same time, I think Huron is going to win because he's more popular.
That's the thing. It's like, if the stakes are one of them goes away forever,
you have to go with the Eldar going away forever. So they're just not as popular.
I think that's where I come into, is that Uriel is kind of cool. Like, I kind of like him, but Huron is rad as hell. I love Huron Blackheart.
Yeah.
I'm not even a Chaos fanboy. Like, I have no Chaos Space Marine forces. I've never built or played Chaos in anything other than Battlefleet Gothic. So for me, it's kind of a big deal to say, I like Huron Blackheart. I want to see more of him. I want to know more about what he's going on. If I pick a fight between Uriel and Huron, I'm going to say Huron's going to win because that's who I want to win.
I can see that. But if you gave me Fugan the Burning Lance versus Huron Blackheart, I'm going Fugan.
Well, sure. If we shift the goalposts, you know?
Yeah, if we just, change the entire aspect of this versus match. We did get a super chat real quick.
Ricky Chapman 3377 requesting you react to Star Wars versus Warhammer audio drama. This is not the first time we've been asked about this. They portray everyone wonderfully. A fan with too much time is a fantastic. Sisters are terrifying.
Yeah, I would agree. The sisters are terrifying. I have a lot of sisters.
I would say I'm interested. I'm willing. It's only a question of like when we can put it into our schedule. Alexis, what do you think?
It definitely has to be a Wednesday show.
Yeah. Please keep reminding us about this because there will come a day when I'll be like, aha, it's a perfect idea to slot in for a Wednesday.
But we have to set some like parameters, like,
yeah,
because the second you bring Star Wars into 40K, everyone in Star Wars gets corrupted by chaos because they have no resistance to it.
Well, yeah, which universe's rules are in play are an incredibly vital aspect to all this.
And like the second we bring in a Psyker, does the Jedi's willpower kick in?
Also, reacting to audio drama, I don't know how well that would go in this medium.
No, I don't think we can do that too well. I think we'd have to listen to it privately.
That's
and
probably
then talk about it afterwards.
Yeah, that would probably be the best way to do it. I think that would be the best way to do it. But yeah, keep reminding us about this, Ricky Chapman. I'm not saying no. I'm just saying not right now.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. I think because I have done like research into Star Wars ships and everything, and they are really devastating. But they're small.
Yeah, Star Wars ships are very small comparatively. Your typical Imperial Star Destroyer is the size of an escort vessel for the Imperial Navy.
It's not that small. A battleship in Star Wars is about 3 kilometers, and a escort vessel is only 1 kilometer. So it's a little bigger. It's about as big as a standard light cruiser.
And a typical Imperial Star Destroyer, go check it, is roughly the same size as an escort.
Oh, now I'm curious.
Because I have had this conversation numerous times. That doesn't, that's not to say that Star Wars doesn't have its own advantages. It does. So there's that.
Yeah, they're faster.
Ricky Chapman says it's very story driven. Yeah, that actually makes a lot more sense and is interesting. I think that would be a little bit better. Anyway, Rothian Fairmoon wanted to point out that his eternal nemesis is dust in his old house. We've had you on here before, Rothian, and I'm sorry. We will probably keep bringing up the dust because it is so
difficult to deal with. So
clearly on the thing. But I do appreciate the challenges of living in an old house with a lot of dust. My recommendation to you would be to hit either dunk your models a little bit of water or before you shoot, or use like compressed air to blast them.
Oh my god, yeah, they are about the same size.
See. All right, that is pretty much the end of our show here today.
Well, I just want to point this out so that people aren't left in the dark. A standard Imperial class Star Destroyer is 1,600 meters or 1.6 kilometers or roughly 1 mile long. With a crew of 37,000, but the crew doesn't matter here. Your standard Space Marine escort ship, and for this I used a Cobra because I'm that kind of nerd. I know the differences between the escort ships. Is between 1 to 2 kilometers in length.
A Cobra escort is the same size as Imperial Star Destroyer. So, anyways, yeah,
that's a wee bit big.
Super Star Destroyers are a whole different thing. Dragon Magic points out that Super Star Destroyers exist. Yeah, that's a whole different thing. You're right. But anyway, that's it for today's show. And today's show was all about Huron Blackheart. I enjoyed speaking about him very much.
So did I. He's a lot of fun.
So we will see you guys next time. Once again, thank you very much for all your support. We appreciate it. And Lorebeards is, this is our second month doing it.
Yeah.
Which is
and just
cool.
Remember, folks, in the grim darkness of the I messed it up. Your turn.
In the grim darkness of the far future,
there is only lore.
Thank you very much, folks. You have a good time.